Chapter 20. Mysterious Supervisor. As instructor. Zhang Nian spoke. He pulled his phone from his pocket and dialed. A moment later, a face filled the screen, an old man with white hair. "Instructor Zhang Nian, is this about those two youngsters?" the old man asked, as if he'd been expecting the call. Zhang Nian's excitement was obvious as he nodded. "Baibo, yes, it's those two kids. You won't believe it. The first time they cultivated their gene energy, their punching power increased by over 3,000 kilograms. Their speed already exceeds the advanced warrior standard, and their neural reaction tests scored at the top of the intermediate warrior level." "Oh," the white-haired man sounded startled. "If I'm not mistaken, one of them is 16 and the other 18? "Yes, Luo Feng is 18, Luo Xia is 16. The old man stood up. "You brat, with such genius youngsters, why haven't you brought them to headquarters sooner? I'll arrange for someone to evaluate them right away." "Okay, I'll bring them over immediately." Zhang Nian smiled. After he hung up, he turned to Luo Feng and Luo Xia. "You two, come with me to headquarters." "Yes, instructor." The brothers nodded and followed him out of the Dojo of Limits. The Dojo of Limits headquarters sat in the main urban area of Jiangnan Base City. The city is split between a central district and 8 satellite towns. Most trips into the center are by train, and tickets often need to be booked 3 days in advance, and they're expensive. Since Luo Feng and Luo Xia's parents settled in Yan District, they rarely traveled because outings simply weren't economical. Instructor Zhang Nian, however, used the privilege afforded to martial instructors and got the brothers onto a train that day. On the sidewalk in the main urban area, Instructor Zhang Nian walked beside the two brothers and smiled. "Luo Feng, Luo Xia, have you noticed any difference between this area and Yangzhou City?" The boys looked around. It was their first time downtown. There were more people and more cars, but otherwise it seemed familiar. "Not much different from Yangzhou City," Luo Xia said, "just busier." "At first glance, yes," Zhang Nian said. "Wait until we go further in, you'll see." His phone buzzed again. He answered, and the white-haired man's face reappeared. "Instructor Zhang Nian? Where are you? How much longer?" "We'll be there in 10 minutes, Zhang Nian replied. "Good." The man's tone grew more serious. "I've invited the supervisor and some others. Don't make a mess when you arrive." "Supervisor?" Zhang Nian's expression shifted to surprise and solemnity. Luo Feng and Luo Xia exchanged glances. This supervisor must be someone important at headquarters for Zhang Nian to react that way. They had already arrived in front of a towering skyscraper. 4 large characters were emblazoned on the facade, Dojo of Limits. "This is our headquarters," Zhang Nian said, pointing up. Luo Feng peered through the glass and saw soldiers with firearms posted outside. He couldn't help a small gasp. "There are so many soldiers here." There were easily twice as many security personnel as at the Yangzhou branch. "They're our headquarters security force. Come on, let's go in." The guards at the entrance recognized Zhang Nian and let the trio pass, greeting them warmly. Inside, the compound felt more like a landscaped park than an institutional building. Bridges over streams, rockeries, and flower beds, steady foot traffic made up mostly of martial artists. They reached a 3-story detached villa. On the second-floor balcony stood the white-haired man from the call. "You're finally here," he called. "Bring those 2 children up." Zhang Nian waved to the boys. "Come on, follow me." On the second floor, a middle-aged man in a black tang suit awaited them. Zhang Nian greeted him respectfully. "Supervisor." The man's voice was calm and pleasant. "Instructor Zhang Nian, are these the Luo Feng and Luo Xia you mentioned?" "Yes, this is Luo Feng," Zhang Nian said, indicating the elder brother, "and this is Luo Xia. They are biological brothers." The boys didn't know the supervisor's exact position, but seeing Zhang Nian's deference, they bowed and said, "Greetings, supervisor." The man in the tang suit nodded approvingly and addressed the white-haired man at his side. "Old Bai, go ahead and assess their strength. Let's see if it's really as you described." "Yes, sir," Old Bai answered courteously. The tests began immediately, with only short rests between trials. The results came back almost identical to those from the Yan District branch. Their physical qualities were that of advanced warriors, their improvements genuine. The room murmured in surprise and admiration. "Excellent. Both of them have truly reached advanced warrior-level physical quality," the man in the tang suit said, Impressed, he turned to Zhang Nian with a smile. Instructor Zhang Nian, producing two such prodigies in Yan District is a tremendous contribution. Well done. Zhang Nian beamed. All credit goes to Luo Feng and Luo Xia. They worked hard for it. The supervisor's expression grew solemn as he addressed the brothers. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, would you be willing to join the Dojo of Limits? I believe Instructor Zhang Nian has already explained the conditions. The brothers exchanged a quick look. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Xia followed suit. We are willing, Luo Feng said. Very good. The supervisor clapped his hands and smiled. Although you are biological brothers, according to the dojo's rules, you can each choose to live in a villa here at headquarters or back in Yangzhou City. He continued, the dojo will also provide each of you with 20 million in startup capital, as well as movement techniques, a guiding technique, and attack method manuals, with each item not exceeding 50 million in price. Did I get that right? He glanced at the boys. They confirmed with nods. The woman in a white suit standing nearby prepared to draft the contracts. Then the supervisor surprised everyone by adding, draft the contracts according to the usual terms, old bai, but modify one clause. The woman raised an eyebrow. What changed, supervisor? The man smiled. Luo Feng and Luo Xia may each choose any movement technique, guiding technique, or attack method secret manual. If the price of a chosen manual does not exceed 100 million, the dojo will purchase it free of charge. I will personally cover it. There was an audible intake of breath. Even the woman in white looked momentarily startled. She glanced at the supervisor and then nodded. Understood, supervisor. As the contracts were prepared, Luo Feng stammered, Supervisor, this. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, you two are exceptional. I think highly of you, so don't worry about money, the supervisor said with a warm smile. Small amount of money. The words hung oddly in the air. 200 million in total wasn't small to everyone, but he meant it as a token of the dojo's investment in their potential. The brothers exchanged astonished looks, then quickly thanked the man in the tang suit. Soon after, the woman in the white suit returned with two contracts and guided Luo Feng and Luo Xia through signing them. The wording was straightforward, no obscure technicalities, and both brothers read through them quickly. Neither had any fear of being cheated by the Dojo of Limits, so they signed without hesitation. Welcome, Luo Feng, Luo Xia, to the big family of the Dojo of Limits, the woman said warmly. When both brothers had finished, the middle-aged man in the tang suit stood and shook each of their hands in turn. That will be all for today. I still have some matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving now. He moved with the brisk manner of someone very busy. He had come only because their aptitudes were extraordinary, and Bai Bo had asked him to. Before he left, he paused and added, Oh, my name is Zhuge Tao. Don't forget it. With that, he left. The second floor of the villa was quiet again. Only Bai Bo, Instructor Zhang Nian, Luo Feng, and Luo Xia remained. Haha, with the manager here just now, I almost didn't dare breathe, Zhang Nian said, laughing. Luo Feng looked puzzled. Instructor Bai Bo, who was that manager? Is he from the main dojo headquarters? You guessed right, Zhang Nian said. That manager is one of the 3 chief managers at Dojo of Limits headquarters, but we usually call them the 4 giants. Luo Xia frowned. 3 managers but 4 giants? When we were talking casually, we called them the 4 giants because there's actually a master above those 3 managers, Zhang Nian explained. So there's the master, then the 3 managers, people with a lot of authority. Bai Bo's expression turned a little moved. He even told you his name. He must think highly of you two, but enough praise. What you need now is to cultivate and live up to that trust. Zhang Nian then brought up a practical matter. All right, you two, think about this. The martial arts hall is assigning a villa for your family. Do you want one in the main city area or in our Yangzhou City, Mingyue community? The brothers exchanged a look. After a moment, Luo Xia spoke. Instructor, I have an idea. What is it? Zhang Nian asked. We're brothers. We don't need 2 villas, Luo Xia said. It seems wasteful. I'd like to convert the villa that would have been for me into startup capital instead. Bai Bo and Zhang Nian exchanged a glance. After a short pause, Bai Bo nodded. That's allowed. There have been precedents where 2 brothers both became martial artists and one converted his allotted villa into startup capital. He added a caveat. Because martial artists can only occupy the villas provided by the martial arts hall and can't sell them, the conversion is limited. The maximum we can convert the villa into is 50 million. If the villa were sold on the open market, it might fetch several hundred million, but a conversion into startup funds is restricted by regulation. Also, Baibo went on, you're getting top-tier villas, so the conversion amount is 50 million. Ordinary martial artists would only be able to convert to a maximum of 5 million. Luo Xia didn't hesitate. Okay, let's convert my villa into the startup capital. Thank you for making the arrangements. The pleasure is mine, Baibo said with a smile. I'm responsible for allocating benefits. I'll notify logistics and the funds will be deposited into your account quickly. Thank you, Baibo, the brothers replied. Zhang Nian asked, so which do you prefer, the Mingwei community in Yangzhou or somewhere in the main city? Luo Feng quietly asked his younger brother. Third brother, what do you think? Our family used to live in Yangzhou City, Luo Xia answered. Our parents, friends, and people we know are there. Let's just stay in Yangzhou. Luo Feng considered, then nodded. Instructor, we choose Mingyue community in Yangzhou City. Good, Zhang Nian said. I'll send a notice to Mingyue community to prepare. He then turned to Baibo. I haven't been to headquarters in a while. Come have a meal with us. Let's celebrate these two young ones. I don't have anything urgent today, Baibo replied with a chuckle. They went to the headquarters for a lively meal. It was evening when the brothers finally returned to their family home in Yangzhou. The whole family was ecstatic to hear that both Luo Feng and Luo Xia had joined the dojo of Limits and would be moving into Mingyue community. The next morning, Luo Hongguo hired movers. Their current home was decent, but far inferior to the villa waiting for them in Mingyue community. Not just in comfort, but in safety. They wanted to move in as soon as possible. Mr. Luo Feng, this is the villa the martial arts hall allocated to your family, a young woman holding a file told them in Mingyue community. She led them to building 199. Number 199 will be your home, Mr. Luo Feng. It has 3 floors, a basement, and a supersized terrace above the 3rd floor. The main living area is 512 square meters, and if you include the basement, courtyard, and terrace, the total area is nearly 800 square meters. Luo Xia and the others exchanged impressed looks. None of them had ever lived in a place this large. For Luo Xia, who had been an ordinary person in his previous life, it was a completely new experience. Over the next 20-odd days, the brothers stayed home and focused on cultivation. The villa included a dedicated training room, ideal for them to practice and improve. On the morning of August 1st, led by a dojo of Limits martial artists, more than 30 quasi-warriors, including Luo Xia and Luo Feng, went to the train station and boarded a carriage bound for the site of the quasi-warrior practical assessment. Inside the train, the cabin's large screen broadcast a flurry of advertisements from various organizations recruiting martial artists. To all quasi-warriors, future martial artists, a middle-aged man in a suit declared on the screen, I represent the HR Alliance. We are the most powerful, the wealthiest organization in the world, and we have the largest number of martial artists. Yang Wu, who was seated next to Luo Feng, heard the announcement and grinned. Madman, Luo Xia, you know the HR Alliance, right? They're richer than some governments. I know them, Luo Xia replied. I tangled with them back when I was making money online. I managed to take a fair bit from them. Chapter 22, Recruiting Weapons. On the compartment screen, the suited spokesman from the HR Alliance was still talking. Our alliance is the world's largest martial artist exchange platform. Here, you can accept missions with huge rewards. Our alliance has influence across the globe. Join us and enjoy top-tier services wherever you go. We have military and political backing. Join us. His pitch went on for a full 15 minutes. When he finally disappeared, a stern-faced man in a military uniform replaced him. Greetings, future martial artists. I am the Deputy Director of the Jiangnan-based City Security Bureau. That was the military's recruitment segment. After he finished, the screen changed again. This time it was the supervisor of the Lei Dian Martial Hall delivering his spiel. Future martial artists, I am. Finally, Zhu Tao, the supervisor of the Dojo of Limits, gave his own short speech, and the loop ended. The 4 recruitment videos sparked a lively conversation among the martial artists in the compartment. Second brother, once you're certified, which group are you going to join? The Dojo of Limits sounds solid. The Underground Alliance pays the most, haha. Lei Dian treats its martial artists well. Better benefits than the Dojo of Limits, actually. Luo Xia and Luo Feng didn't join in. They had already enlisted with the Dojo of Limits before the trip. In this world, the strongest forces were the government military, then the HR Alliance, and after them groups like Lei Dian Martial Hall and the Dojo of Limits. The debate continued until the train pulled into its destination. Attention, quasi-warriors, the train is entering the station. Please prepare to disembark, the announcement called. A group of over 1,000 quasi-warriors poured out of the cars and into a large military camp. For Luo Xia, this was his first time outside a base city. As soon as he stepped off the train, he craned his neck to look around, then pointed. "Big brother, look! Outside the camp!" Beyond the camp's fortifications, monsters roamed the plains. These creatures had long since mutated beyond their pre-Great Nirvana forms. They were fierce and grotesque, their bellies shrunken with hunger as they paced and roared toward the camp. They didn't come closer, though. The area immediately around the camp bristled with artillery and guards. Any monster that crossed that line would be met by machine guns and cannons. A strange cry echoed overhead. The brothers looked up to see a dense flock of flying beasts slicing across the bright sky. "The books were right," Luo Feng said softly. "Outside the base city, monsters are everywhere. We're still inside a camp and already see ones we never see back home. If we go into the wilderness area, there'll be monsters at every turn." Before they could say more, a loudspeaker in the camp addressed the assembled quasi-warriors. "Welcome to the North Military Region of Jiangnan City. The martial artist combat assessment for you, 1,681 candidates, will take place here. We hope most of you pass, and that all of you survive it. Lunch has been prepared. After eating, please assemble at the square." "Let's go," Luo Feng said. They joined the others in the mess hall and had a substantial lunch. In the afternoon, they reported to the open square as instructed. High-ranking officers from the Jiangnan North Military Region stood on a raised platform, flanked by officials from the Dojo of Limits and Lei Dian Martial Hall. On display in front of them were an array of weapons and combat suits. Soldiers maintained order. The items would soon be distributed to the candidates. "Now, the quasi-warriors whose names are called, please come forward to receive your suits and weapons," the announcer said. Names were read one by one. Yan Zhuo, He Feng, Liu Changguang. When the speakers called Luo Feng and Luo Xia, the 2 brothers stepped forward together. Luo Feng had already decided on a saber. The region handed him the Blood Shadow Battle Blade, the model he'd registered for. Luo Xia opted for a sword and received a long sword from the Silver Moon series, equal in quality to his brother's blade. They were also issued alloy combat boots, a combat vest, military trousers, hexagonal shields, and communication watches. The watches had positioning and communication functions. In a life-threatening emergency, a quasi-warrior could call the military for extraction. The catch was brutal. Requesting help would guarantee survival, but it would also forfeit the candidate's chance to become a martial artist. After collecting their gear, Luo Xia and Luo Feng went to the barracks to change. The alloy boots, combat vests, and trousers made them look taller and more imposing. With a hexagonal shield on their back and weapon at their side, they cut a heroic figure. Unnoticed by the brothers, a burly man in a dark purple combat uniform pointed at them and asked Zhuge Tao, who stood nearby in a dark suit flecked with silver. "Are those the 2 the Dojo of Limits recruited in advance?" he said. Zhuge Tao smiled. "Yes." "They don't look like much," the man scoffed. "Not much better than our Lei Dian recruits." The burly man seemed smug as he indicated 2 young men across the square who were changing into their gear. "We recruited too early as well. One's got physical qualities that rival that Luo Feng you mentioned. The other is a firearms genius, see, Wan Dong, and that pretty one is Ma Xiao." Zhuge Tao's smile didn't fade. "It seems your confidentiality wasn't very strict. We didn't see any leaked test data about our 2. The burly man blinked. "Zhuge, what do you mean?" Zhu Tao's smile deepened into something almost amused. Are you certain the physical qualities of the two your hall recruited are actually comparable to the two we recruited? The implication hit the man. He hesitated. You're saying the two you recruited have very high physical qualities. How high? Zhuge Tao only smiled and said nothing. Chapter 23. First Battle. Frontal Kill. Seeing Zhuge Tao smile without answering, the burly supervisor felt a crawl of unease. He rolled his eyes, then suddenly called out to two young men nearby. Wandong, Ma Xiao! Over here! Wandong and Ma Xiao, just finishing changing into their combat suits, paused at the summons and hurried over. Supervisor, what's up? The burly man grinned. This is Mr. Zhuge Tao, a supervisor from the dojo of Limits. I heard their martial hall recruited two geniuses early, so I thought you two should come meet them. He nodded toward a pair standing a short distance away. Those two, Luo Feng and Luo Xia. Mr. Zhuge Tao says they're both very talented. Wandong and Ma Xiao bowed politely to Zhuge Tao, then turned to look at the brothers he'd pointed out. Luo Feng and Luo Xia were talking and smiling between themselves. Wandong's face stayed dark. He hesitated a beat, then said, Since they're from the dojo of Limits, we should introduce ourselves. Supervisor, we'll go. Go on, the supervisor Wang Heng laughed. Zhuge Tao shot him a cool look. Wang Heng, you're insufferable. Wang Heng laughed back. What can I do? You pique my curiosity. As a supervisor, I can't exactly go bothering two young geniuses myself. Better to send these two. Luo Xia and his older brother Luo Feng were discussing tactics for the assessment when two unfamiliar youths walked over. One had a sullen expression and a purple birthmark on his face. The other was handsome and easy smiling. Are you Luo Feng and Luo Xia? The sullen one asked, eyes bright with something like anticipation. Think you've got the nerve to compete? See who tops the points in tonight's combat assessment? Luo Xia and Luo Feng exchanged a look of mild annoyance. Who are you? Luo Xia asked. We're from Lei Dian Martial Hall. I'm Ma Xiao. This is Wandong. We heard the dojo of Limits recruited two geniuses early, so we came to say hello, the smiling youth said. Luo Xia's tone was cool. That doesn't feel much like a greeting. Ma Xiao only chuckled. Wandong's expression stayed cold. Scared? He shot at them. Scared of what? Luo Feng asked. If you're not scared, then fight me. Let's see which of you is the real genius, Wandong sneered. Luo Xia curled a lip. Boring. Luo Feng shook his head. We're not interested. Wandong was about to say more when a loudspeaker boomed across the base. All quasi-warriors, assemble at the square. We're about to depart for Monster Town, the site of tonight's actual combat assessment. Time was up. Wandong glanced once at Luo Xia and Luo Feng, then stalked off with Ma Xiao. Wang Heng, who'd watched the exchange, raised an eyebrow and smiled. Zhuge, your two from the dojo of Limits have good composure. They didn't lose their heads. If they do well in this assessment, I'll recruit them myself. Zhuge Tao glared. Get lost. Wang Heng laughed and shook his head. Ah, you're no fun. Soldiers herded the quasi-warriors to the outskirts of a small town surrounded by barbed wire. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter. On the roof of a battered three-story building, an officer addressed them. This assessment follows the established rules. It begins at 18:30 and ends at 06:30 tomorrow, he announced. You earn points by killing monsters. For each monster you kill, cut off its left ear as proof. Quasi-warriors are forbidden from killing one another. All actions are under surveillance. Any violators will be executed on the spot. Of the 1,681 quasi-warriors participating, the top 60% by points will receive martial artist qualifications. The bottom 40% will fail and must wait for the next assessment. Move out. Enter Monster Town. The heavy iron gate groaned closed behind them as the crowd surged forward. The martial artist assessment had begun. Big brother, should we split up like we planned? Luo Xia asked as they walked down one of Monster Town's derelict streets. Split, Luo Feng agreed. The monsters in here are the weakest H rank, perfect for training. If we stick together, it's just bullying them. Monster ranks corresponded roughly to martial artist levels. Beast Soldier, Beast General, Lord, and H-rank monsters equated to elementary beast soldiers, the kind an elementary warrior would face. They reached a fork. We'll split here, Luo Xia said. All right. Xia, be careful. Don't overdo it. Luo Feng nodded. I know, big brother. You too, Luo Xia replied, then sprinted down the left alley. He was gone within heartbeats. Night fell quickly. Though searchlights swept the outskirts, the town's center sank into real darkness, the most dangerous place. Luo Xia moved cautiously through the streets, sword in hand and a hexagonal shield strapped to his arm. Monster roars echoed at intervals, making the shadows feel alive. According to what he'd learned, the monsters here were mainly three types: shadow cats, fast feline predators, iron fur wild boars, monsters of brute strength and thick hide, and tiger mastiffs, canine beasts with excellent all-around abilities. A sharp roar split the night. Three tiger mastiffs leapt from the shadows, compact, muscular, teeth bared, and dripping saliva. They charged without hesitation, claws tearing shallow gouges in the concrete as they closed. One launched for Luo Xia's head, the other two aimed low. One lunged for his midsection, an insultingly canine tactic. Luo Xia's heart jumped, but he didn't step back. He met the attack. The mastiff that went for his head crashed into his hexagonal shield. Luo Xia tilted it to deflect the blow, and in the same motion, snapped his foot forward. His kick connected with the head of the mastiff, aimed at his groin. The beast yelped and was sent flying like a rag doll, skittering across the pavement, its body convulsing. At the same time, Luo Xia's sword flashed. He slashed in a low, precise arc. The mastiff biting at his calf could not react. Its throat was cut, blood spraying as it collapsed with a choked cry. The third mastiff, still reeling from the shield's deflection, couldn't dodge the upward sweep of Luo Xia's sword. His blade opened the beast's lower abdomen. Organs and blood spilled out as the creature slumped, its breath rattling out. Luo Xia exhaled slowly, scanning the fallen animals. He checked their left ears out of habit, trophies and proof of kills, then calmed his breathing. The night around him remained silent for a moment, save for the settling echoes of the fight. He tightened his grip on his sword and moved on, every muscle ready for the next threat. Chapter 24. What? Recruiting people. My physical quality, almost at the level of a junior warrior general, completely crushed those three tiger mastiffs. Luo Xia muttered to himself. Given how the attack had come, an ordinary martial artist would almost certainly have been hurt. But his body was just too strong. He'd found an opening and countered almost instantly. Even though this was his first time fighting monsters, his head had remained remarkably clear. No, razor calm. He felt like he'd been watching himself from the outside, directing his limbs and cutting down the three tiger mastiffs that had leapt at him. Is it because my mental energy is too strong? He wondered aloud. He stepped forward with his longsword, sliced off the left ears of the three beasts, and dropped them into his combat pack. Blood would attract other monsters. The trophies were useful evidence, too. Standing amid the corpses, he paused. Should he leave or wait for whatever was coming to come to him? Woof! Before he could decide, a familiar roar answered for him. Luo Xia narrowed his eyes. 6 tiger mastiffs were approaching, one noticeably larger than the rest, baring teeth and closing the distance with slow, deliberate steps. All right, he said to himself. I'll wait for them. In the darkness, a low murmur rippled through the air, then a blade flashed coldly in the gloom. Inside Monster Town, the carnage continued unabated. Some quasi-warriors, wounded badly in their first fights, pressed their comm-watches and waited helplessly for rescue, their chances at becoming full martial artists slipping away. Others had killed monsters but were pale with fear, and a few survivors, bloodied and wild-eyed, found the taste of battle intoxicating. Each fight only roused them more. Not far from the town, in a large building full of feeds, dozens of monitors relayed every corner of the enclosed battlefield. What clumsy methods, one of the men scoffed. In a small monitoring room, a military officer sat watching the screens with Wang Heng, director of the Lei Dian Martial Hall. Both were focused on a martial artist struggling with an iron fur wild boar on another screen. The officer laughed, nostalgic. Watching these kids fight reminds me of when we were young. Old times, Wang Heng agreed. We were the rising stars of Jiangnan City once. Now look, you're a major general and I'm running a hall. Iron Monkey, the officer said with a grin at his old friend's nickname. Then the officer's expression changed. Old Wang, quick, look! On the main screen, a new feed flickered into view. The officer immediately barked orders. Lock the camera on Quasi-Warrior number 22. Yes, sir. Wang Heng squinted at the screen. What is it? What did you see? You'll see. The officer smiled. then pointed as the image steadied. The feed showed a broad, battered street littered with monster carcasses, easily more than 20. In the center of the carnage stood a tall young man with a longsword, fighting a ring of 12 tiger mastiffs. The beasts circled and snapped, testing him with low growls. Wang Heng's brow tightened. That kid, wasn't he one of the early recruits Zhu Jie brought into the martial hall? His brother is Luo Feng. Luo Xia, right? That's him. The military officer nodded. Did he kill all these monsters? There's nobody else around, the officer said. He must have. Wang Heng leaned closer. Look at his footwork. Under the encirclement, Luo Xia moved like a flicker, small, precise motions that kept him out of reach of every blow. Not one of the 12 tiger mastiffs managed to touch him. Micro-level, the officer murmured, admiration in his voice. This kid's movement technique has reached the micro-level. Some warrior general-level fighters can't do that, Wang Heng said, stunned. He pulled up the recruit file in his mind. Lei Dian kept a close eye on the Dojo of Limits picks. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known that Zhu Jie had recruited Luo Feng and his younger brother early. He's only 16, Wang Heng said slowly, 2 years younger than Luo Feng, and he already has micro-level movement technique? Anger flared up in him. No wonder Zhu was smiling so oddly today. He must have recruited a prodigy. What are Wan Dong and Ma Xiao compared to this? Geniuses. He was laughing at me this noon. The military officer smiled and pointed to the screen again. It isn't just his movement. Watch his attacks. Every strike is fatal. He hits the monster's weak points. The camera captured a brutal move. Luo Xia exploited a momentary loss of balance and drove his blade into a tiger mastiff's vulnerable rear. The officer's mouth dropped open. He even forces the monsters to expose their weak spots and hits them there. Neck, abdomen, anus, groin. That's the kind of combat sense only seasoned fighters get from repeatedly entering the wilderness area. Newcomers lack the experience to manufacture such openings. They'd grind through dozens of exchanges before finishing a monster. A young recruit who could make a monster reveal its vulnerability and end a fight in one deadly strike was almost unheard of. This kid's combat IQ is absurd, Wang Heng muttered, jealousy and rage together. And he's unnervingly calm, surrounded by so many monsters, and his stance doesn't waver. 16 years old, and it's his first real fight. How did Zhu Ge even get a hold of such a prodigy? He slammed his fist down on the table so hard the monitors rattled. No, such a prodigy can't be allowed to belong to the Dojo of Limits. The officer raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? Wang Heng's eyes were alight. We poach him. You mean, steal him away? Wang Heng waved his hand grandly. The Lei Dian Martial Hall offers far better benefits than the Dojo of Limits. If we make him the right offer, I don't believe he'd refuse. On the screen, Luo Xia continued to fight, methodical and deadly, while the two old friends schemed and the surveillance room buzzed with the sudden possibility of recruiting a true prodigy. Dawn broke over Monster Town. Wan Dong walked through the narrow streets, bone-weary but smiling. He'd spent the night fighting, he'd killed 51 monsters, and the tally left him quietly pleased. Then his gene energy-enhanced nose caught a sharp, metallic tang. Why is the blood smell so strong? He followed it cautiously. After turning a corner, he stopped dead. Before him, monster corpses lay in piled heaps, blood slicking the cobblestones in black and red. At the very top of the mound sat a man streaked with gore. A Silver Moon Series longsword lay casually at his side, its blade stained. The man looked up as Wan Dong approached. The look pinned Wan Dong like a predator's stare. His breath caught. He opened his mouth as if to speak, but no words came, only the shallow rasp of frightened air. A shrill siren cut through the moment. Woo, woo, woo. Then a loudspeaker's amplified voice spread through the town. Time's up! All quasi-warriors immediately assemble at the town exit. Wan Dong snapped back to reality. The man on the corpse pile sprang up and landed beside him with a soft thud, then walked past, heading for the exit. Wan Dong realized the man's backpack was bulging with left ears. Monster left ears. He barely breathed the name that rose in his throat. Luo Xia. A jumble of emotions hit him, a dizzying mix of pride and bitter astonishment. He had seriously overestimated himself last night. Wan Dong forced a bitter smile, glanced once at the mountain of bodies, and headed for the town exit. Outside the gate, quasi-warriors streamed out one after another, blood-streaked. some with monster wounds, some with their own. The crowd opened instinctively as one figure walked through. The man smelled of iron and death, and his backpack bulged with ears. "Who is that? He smells like he's been gutted," someone muttered. "Look, his pack's full of monster ears. How many did he kill?" another said. "Unbelievable," murmured several voices in awe. After a night of assessment where many had died, anyone who returned with so much proof was cause for respect. "Xiao Xia," someone called. Luo Feng had no trouble recognizing the blood-smeared figure. His heart leapt. Relief and fear collided as he ran to his younger brother, checking him over. "Xiao Xia, are you okay? Are you hurt?" Luo Xia gave his older brother a wry, exhausted smile. "I'm fine. This is all monster blood. No injuries." Luo Feng let out a shaky breath. He stared at the packed backpack. "How many did you kill? Your pack's about to burst." Luo Xia shrugged, thinking. "I didn't keep a precise count, probably over 100. He had been waiting in that street, letting monster bodies pile up like bait. The smell drew more in. At first he'd been keeping track, but soon the numbers blurred as the monsters kept coming. "Over 100? Luo Feng's voice was incredulous. Before Luo Xia could elaborate, heavy military trucks rolled up, piled high with monster corpses. Soldiers began unloading human bodies from another vehicle. Quasi-warriors who hadn't returned whole, some missing limbs clearly eaten. "Someone come claim them," a soldier shouted. Cries went up. Names were called. "Ah! Again! Xiao Yin!" Faces went white as companions recognized the dead and collapsed beside them, wailing. A military officer barked, his voice cold, cutting through the grief. "What are you crying for?" he snapped. Several quasi-warriors glared at him. He didn't flinch. "When you take up the path of a martial artist, you accept the risk of death," he said. "Human society grants martial artists privileges not for comfort, but because you protect humanity by killing monsters. We arranged only the weakest enemies for this test. No group assaults. If you can't pass this, how will you survive out in the wilderness area?" His words hushed the crowd. Someone clapped, stepping forward to break the tension. "All right, submit the left ears for verification." The quasi-warriors lined up and began turning in monster left ears as proof of their kills. "2 left ears, left arm injured," called an assessor. "Lu Feng, 3 left ears, next." When it was Luo Feng and Luo Xia's turn, the officers at the table exchanged surprised looks at the sight of their full packs. "You two brothers look capable," one said with a faint smile. "Must have taken down a lot." Luo Feng downplayed it. The onlookers craned their necks, eager to know how many kills the brothers could claim. Luo Feng tipped his bag. Dozens of left ears tumbled into a metal pot with a clatter, forming a pile that filled more than half of it. "So many," murmured the crowd. The assessor counted carefully, then looked up with a smile. "Very good, 36 left ears. You're currently the top hunter in this group, and you're unharmed." Luo Feng nodded, remembering he'd spent part of the night practicing footwork on monsters rather than maximizing kills. The officer turned to Luo Xia and raised an eyebrow. "Next, Luo Xia, your pack looks even fuller than your brother's. How many did you get?" Chapter 26, Conditions of the Thunder Martial Arts School. "Not many," Luo Xia said with a smile, and dumped the rest of the monster ears from his backpack into the freshly cleaned metal pot. They poured in like a stream, so many that the pot overflowed. "Whoa, how many did he kill? The pot's full," someone whispered. "There's iron fur wild boar, tiger mastiff, shadow cat ears. Is this what it's like to be a genius? I heard Luo Xia was the top scorer on this year's college entrance exam." A murmur of astonishment ran through the others as the assessment officer began counting. It took several minutes. When he finished, he looked up at Luo Xia, stunned. "You actually killed 121 monsters, and you weren't injured." Luo Xia only smiled. "It's fine." He moved to the side to talk with his older brother, Luo Feng. The other candidates couldn't stop buzzing. "Luo Xia killed over 100? That has to be the most anyone's hunted in this assessment. No one's going to beat that." "What about Wan Dong? His bag looked pretty full too." "Wan Dong's a genius too. Maybe he can match them." When they turned their attention to Wan Dong, his face darkened. He had hunted a lot of monsters, but it wasn't close to Luo Xia's total. Luo Xia's count was more than double his. Wan Dong remembered the small mountain of corpses he'd left on the field and felt the gulf between them keenly. The gap was embarrassing. Luo Xia and Luo Feng chatted quietly, radiant with relief. Big brother, we finally became martial artists. Yes, Mom, Dad, and Ahua will be so happy when they hear. Their smiles were bright when a large bearded officer approached. Luo Xia, come with me. Someone wants to see you in the lounge ahead. Luo Xia frowned. Who would want to see him now? The officer's expression, however, allowed no refusal. Luo Xia told his brother, I'll be gone a little while. Okay, Luo Feng replied, then cautioned, Go wash first. You're covered in blood. Is that all right? Luo Xia asked the officer. No problem. We've got time. The officer nodded. Luo Xia washed, changed into clean clothes, and followed the officer into the lounge. A burly man sat on the sofa with his eyes closed. He opened them when Luo Xia entered. The look that met Luo Xia felt almost electric. The emblem on the man's jacket marked him as Lei Dian Martial Hall. My name's Wang Heng. I'm the director of Lei Dian Martial Hall headquarters, the man said, gesturing for him to sit. You're from Lei Dian Martial Hall? Luo Xia saw the emblem and wondered if this was a recruitment, like the way his brother had been sought after in the original story. Luo Xia sat down across from him and asked politely, Mr. Wang, what can I do for you? Wang Heng let no time pass. I watched the footage of your battle last night. You're exceptionally talented. I want to formally invite you to join Lei Dian Martial Hall. Luo Xia shook his head. Thank you for the offer, but I've already signed with the Dojo of Limits. Wang Heng shrugged as if that were a minor hurdle. A contract can be broken. Lei Dian will pay your liquidated damages. He leaned forward. Regulations cap liquidated damages at 300 million, but I don't think your value is limited by that. If you join Lei Dian, I'll arrange a special training contract for you at our global headquarters. He smiled, then added with emphasis, You should know, every year, only a handful worldwide receive special training contracts. They're reserved for top-tier geniuses. In the first half of this year, we've already issued 3. One went to a 20-year-old advanced warrior in the European Union. Another to a psyker master, a true genius from South America. The third to a 16-year-old intermediate warrior from Jinghua-based city. His eyes lit up. You would be the 4th. Luo Xia's eyebrows rose at the mention of a 16-year-old intermediate warrior. Freaks like that existed everywhere. Wang continued, Bring you to our global headquarters, and you might even receive personal guidance from the Thunder God himself. We sincerely invite you to join us. Wang Heng had pushed his offer as far as it could go. If Luo Xia hadn't already committed elsewhere, the conditions might well have tempted him. They were generous in both prestige and promise, but Luo Xia's answer was steady. I'm sorry, but I'm with the Dojo of Limits. I don't intend to break that contract. Thank you for your consideration. Wang Heng was taken aback. He'd expected hesitation at least, maybe bargaining. Can you think it over? There's no rush. No, thank you. Luo Xia rose and bowed slightly. If there's nothing else, please allow me to leave. Wang Heng studied him closely. Despite the temptation, the young man was unmoved. With a small inward sigh, Wang waved a hand. Very well. If you ever change your mind, Lei Dian's doors will always be open to you. Thank you, Mr. Bai. Luo Xia bowed again and left the lounge. Chapter 27, A Happy Family. Luo Xia returned to the military rest area reserved for quasi-warriors and found Luo Feng already changed into clean clothes. Big brother, he called. Xia. Luo Feng was talking with Yang Wu. He glanced up when he heard his brother and asked, How did it go? Who was looking for you just now? Luo Xia smiled. A manager from Lei Dian Martial Hall. A manager from Lei Dian Martial Hall? Yang Wu exclaimed in surprise. What did he want? He wanted me to switch to Lei Dian, Luo Xia said, spreading his hands. Luo Feng froze, then asked quickly, Did you agree? No, we've already signed with the Dojo of Limits. We can't just break our word, Luo Xia answered. Luo Feng let out a relieved breath and scolded gently like an older brother. Right, Xia, we can't do that. I know, Luo Xia said, smiling and nodding. We haven't told Mom and Dad yet that we passed the martial artist assessment, Luo Feng said. Let's call them. Yang Wu grinned. Good idea. I need to call my family too. He waved and left to find a quiet spot. Luo Xia pulled out his phone and dialed home. Jiangnan-based city, Mingyue community. Under a big tree, Luo Hongguo sat playing chess with a few other retirees. Not far off, his wife Gong Xinlun sat with a group of women, shelling sunflower seeds and gossiping. At home, their middle son Luo Hua hunched over his summer homework, lamenting the work. An old man snatched up a cannon piece and captured a pawn. "Hongguo," he asked, grinning, "your two sons went for the assessment yesterday, right?" Luo Hongguo frowned at the chessboard. "Old Wang, that was a bad move. If your cannon takes like that, his horse will come over and you'll be in trouble." Then, to the question, "Yes, they went." "Weren't you worried?" the other old man asked, making the capture Luo Hongguo had warned him about. "Of course we were worried," the man answered. "Their mother hardly slept last night. She was fretting the whole time." Luo Hongguo sighed. "That's why I came out to watch you two play. Keeps my mind off them. I don't know how those boys did." At that moment, a cheerful ringtone cut through the murmuring. Luo Hongguo, startled, pulled his phone from his pocket and saw his youngest son's number on the screen. His face lit up. "It's my youngest," he cried. The two old men stopped their game. "Answer it," they urged. Luo Hongguo hurriedly put the call through. "Hello, son?" "Dad, Big Brother and I passed the assessment. We'll be home tonight. Where's Mom? Tell her to prepare something good." Luo Xia's voice was bright over the line. Luo Hongguo beamed. "That's great. I'll tell your mother. Be careful coming home." Turning toward his wife, he raised his voice so the women nearby could hear. "Xinlan, our sons passed the martial artist assessment. Go to the market and get something delicious. We'll have a feast tonight." Gong Xinlan, who had been chatting to distract herself, froze for a moment and then jumped up, radiant. "I'll go right now," she told the group, almost giddy. "I won't stay to gossip. My sons passed." "Xinlan, you're so lucky. You raised 3 kids and 2 became martial artists," one woman said, delighting in the news. "Let me introduce you to a girl who'd be perfect for Luo Feng," another added. Gong Xinlan laughed and left the circle like she was walking on air. That evening, Luo Feng and Luo Xia walked into the community and were met by warm congratulations from neighbors. "Congratulations! When are you coming to my place for dinner? I knew you'd pass." The morning phone call had spread the news, and everyone seemed to know. "Mom, Dad!" The two brothers saw their parents and Luo Hua waiting at the door. "You're back!" Luo Hongguo greeted them, beaming. "Your mother's already started the meal. There's your favorite braised pork." They ate together in a happy, lively atmosphere. After the dishes were cleared, Luo Feng turned to Luo Xia. "Come with me to the audio-visual room on the 2nd floor. The instructor messaged, now that we're official martial artists, we can access the Dojo of Limit's internal network." Luo Xia nodded. "Okay, Mom and Dad, we're going upstairs for a bit." "Go ahead, don't worry about us," Luo Hongguo said with a smile. In the quiet 2nd floor audio-visual room, the brothers settled on a sofa. Luo Feng typed the dojo's internal site into the keyboard. A fingerprint verification prompt filled the screen. They both pressed their fingers to the scanner. A moment later, soft music poured from the speakers, and their profiles appeared on the display. Luo Feng mail address, Jiangnan Base City, China. Martial Artist Certificate No. 4261230560810002. Rank, Warrior, Elementary. Contribution points, account balance, 20,000 yuan. Luo Xia mail, address, Jiangnan Base City, China. Martial Artist Certificate No. 42612320101004. Rank, Warrior, Elementary. Contribution points, 0. Account balance, 70,000 yuan. Luo Xia brewed 2 cups of tea. They held the warm cups and glanced at the numbers. "So you have 20 million and I have 70, Luo Feng said, smiling. "Looks like the starting capital the dojo promised has already been credited." "Big Brother, you have a new email," Luo Xia pointed out, noticing a notification in Luo Feng's browser. Luo Feng opened his inbox and a video message popped up on the screen. A man in a black suit addressed them with a polite smile. "Hello, Mr. Luo Feng. I am the assistant to Manager Zhuge. I believe you've seen the 20 million starting capital promised by Manager Zhuge. As for funds to purchase secret manuals, movement techniques, saber techniques, and guiding technique manuals, you can buy them directly through the internal network. If the price does not exceed 100 million yuan, the dojo will reimburse it in full through the network, with no deductions. If it exceeds 100 million, you will be responsible for the excess amount. On behalf of Manager Zhu, congratulations on completing the martial artist assessment." Luo Xia opened his own email on the adjacent computer and found the exact same message waiting for him. They sat back, the warm tea fogging slightly in front of them, both smiling at the future the dojo had just opened up. Chapter 28, Buy Cheats. Luo Feng opened the second email. It was another video. Hello, honored new martial artist, Luo Feng. On behalf of the dojo of Limits, welcome to our family. A sweet-looking young woman smiled at the camera and continued, This is your first time entering the dojo of Limits internal network, Limit Home. I'll explain how Limit Home works. In Limit Home, you can buy secret manuals of all grades, guiding techniques, movement manuals, attack manuals like blade, spear, and sword techniques, as well as firearms, vehicles, armor, communication systems, special explosives, medicine, genetic agents, even rare materials and treasures. If you have enough money, you can buy anything. With sufficient contribution points, the prices on all those items are halved. Purchased goods will be delivered within 24 hours. Contribution points have many uses. Reach a certain level, and you can call on the dojo's special forces. The more contribution points you have, the higher your status in the dojo and the more privileges you enjoy. There are two ways to earn contribution points. One is by hunting monsters and selling important monster materials to the dojo. The other is by donating money. 100,000 yuan equals 1 contribution point, and you may donate up to 100 billion yuan. Finally, I wish Mr. Luo Feng every success in reaching the peak of martial artists within the dojo of Limits. She bowed slightly as the video ended. Luo Feng turned to his younger brother. Xiao Xia, did you get these 2 emails? Xiao Xia nodded. The messages he'd received were the same. Luo Feng thought for a moment. Let's check the martial artist forum first, then decide which secret manuals to buy. They entered the martial artist forum. It was a place for dojo members to exchange cultivation experience and techniques, posts offering guidance on fists, blades, movement, and more. Luo Feng's eyes lit when he saw a thread titled, Some Simple Notes on Psyker Masters. They read, There was better, more accurate information here than what circulated on the public internet. As they absorbed the post, Xiao Xia's memory flickered back to the novels he'd read. The awakening of Psyker Masters could be dangerous. Fail the awakening and you could die. Less severe failures could leave you brain damaged or a vegetable. Xiao Xia was lucky. Luo Feng looked at his brother with concern. You said your mental energy hasn't fully awakened yet. Be careful if you start using divine thought. I know, big brother, Xiao Xia replied. After a while, they left the forum and opened the mall to buy secret manuals. The seniors on the forum say guiding techniques, movement techniques, and attack techniques are the 3 most important manuals, Luo Feng said. Let's focus on those 3 first, then buy equipment. The mall interface filled the audio-visual room screen. Hundreds of items scrolled past, everything from low-level manuals to legendary techniques. They even have the world's strongest Hong's cultivation technique, World Annihilation, Luo Feng murmured. Right under it is the Thunder God's 9 Heavy Thunderblade, Xiao Xia added. Those top manuals sell for 100 billion yuan. The 2 brothers kept flipping through the listings, their eyes widening. There were so many powerful manuals and pieces of equipment, but most were astronomically expensive, and many required contribution points. Luo Feng remembered something the instructor had said when they signed the contract. The instructor told me the contribution point requirement can be waived for a first purchase, he said. Xiao Xia glanced at him. So what are you buying first? Luo Feng hesitated, then made up his mind. I'll take the first 3 levels of the 9 Heavy Thunderblade. It's hard to cultivate, but it comes with a matching guiding technique and movement technique, so it's cost-effective. I refuse to believe I can't master it. The first 3 levels only cost 100 million yuan, right within the 100 million promised by manager Zhuge, Xiao Xia said, opening the purchase page. Luo Feng didn't hesitate. He tapped the confirmation. Please confirm purchase. First 3 levels of 9 Heavy Thunderblade, 100 million yuan. Confirm, Luo Feng said. Please verify fingerprint to confirm. He pressed his finger to the scanner. A beep, then the screen. Fingerprint verified. Purchase successful. Payment processed. Your manuals will be delivered to Mr. Luo Feng's residence within 24 hours. Luo Feng's heart raced. 100 million yuan vanished in a few taps. Luckily, it wasn't his own money. He would have been regretting it otherwise. What about you, Xia? What will you buy? Luo Feng asked. It's a shame you use a sword. Otherwise, you could have bought the first 3 levels of World Annihilation for the same price. Xia clicked through them all and, to Luo Feng's surprise, opened the purchase page for World Annihilation. Who said a swordsman can't buy World Annihilation? He said. Luo Feng blinked. But World Annihilation is a spear technique. Are you going to switch weapons? No. Xia placed the order. I'm used to swordplay. I can't just switch to a long spear overnight. Luo Feng leaned forward. Then why buy World Annihilation? There's an S-grade sword technique here called Mist Sword. It's not as strong as World Annihilation, but it's still excellent. You should get that. Xia smiled. If I learn, I'll learn from the best. I'm buying World Annihilation to study the creator's thought process and force exertion methods. I'll take those ideas and adapt them to sword techniques. Luo Feng stared. His mouth fell open. Is Xia really planning to study a spear manual and use it to build his own sword style? While they were still talking, Luo Xia had already verified his fingerprint and completed the purchase of the first 3 levels of Hong's World Extinction. The system chimed in, fingerprint verified, purchase successful, payment deducted. A notification appeared. The first 3 levels of the World Extinction Secret Manual will be delivered to your address within 24 hours, Mr. Luo Xia. Seeing the purchase go through, Luo Feng stopped trying to dissuade him. Luo Xia had always been stubborn. Once he decided on something, it was almost impossible to change his mind. If he believed he could glean useful techniques from Hong's manual, then let him try. After all, the boy was clever. He'd already figured out warm-up routines and a forging body technique from old texts and martial arts videos. Still, Luo Feng couldn't resist one last consolation. Good thing it isn't our money, he said with a half-smile. Luo Xia smiled back. Luo Feng glanced at the equipment store screen. Next, we should pick out weapons and combat suits. No rush, Luo Xia said. Most of the better weapons and suits require contribution points. We don't have those. How about tomorrow we go to the martial arts hall and ask a senior to buy them for us? If someone with contribution points makes the purchase, they can get the items at half price. We'll save a lot. Luo Feng blinked. That actually works? Luo Xia pointed to a forum post titled How to Save Money Shopping Online. It says special items like weapons and secret manuals can be purchased on your behalf by others so long as their account does the buying. Luo Feng thought it over and then nodded. All right. Tomorrow, we'll see if a senior can help us. Tonight, though, we should decide exactly what we want. Okay, your picks first. The brothers set to work. Luo Feng selected a 5-series combat saber, shield, watch, backpack, and combat suit. 5 items in total. The total came to 27 million Chinese yuan. If they could use a 1-star contribution account, the price would be halved to 13.5 million. Both brothers had grown up poor, and now, as they cultivated, new money would be even more important. They scrimped where they could. Don't forget throwing knives, Luo Xia reminded. You've awakened your mental power now. Luo Feng turned to the throwing knife section and nearly choked at the price. A 7-series throwing knife was 3 million yuan each, 1.5 million at half price. That's too expensive, he frowned. Those knives can pierce Lord-level monsters, Luo Xia explained. They're made of special materials. But don't chicken out. I still have an extra 50 million saved. If we get someone to buy at half price, it'll be more than enough. Luo Feng nodded, and after a brief discussion, they added 20 of the 7-series throwing knives to the cart. How many do you want, Xia? Luo Feng asked. 10, Luo Xia said. He was also a psychic master. His mental power wasn't fully awakened, but he could already manipulate objects remotely. Controlling too many knives at once would strain him, so 10 each was a sensible limit. All right, 20 total, Luo Feng confirmed. Even at half price, the 20 knives would come to 30 million yuan. When we start hunting monsters, Luo Xia said with a smile, we'll make enough money to cover this. Luo Feng smiled back. I'm actually looking forward to that life. Luo Xia then chose his own gear. He picked a Silver Moon 5-series longsword. His shield, combat suit, and the rest matched his brother's selections. After tallying everything, The brothers realized that with help from a martial artist who had contribution points, they'd still have a substantial balance left. The next morning, they woke early and cultivated in the training room. Around 10, as they were finishing their exercises, the doorbell rang and a wrist communicator pinged them. The secret manuals had arrived. They hurried to the door. Two unfamiliar martial artists stood on the doorstep, each carrying a sealed metal case. "Mr. Luo Feng," one said, handing over a box. "This is the secret manual you ordered. You can open it with your fingerprint." "Mr. Luo Xia," the other added as he handed over the second box. "This is for you. Please verify your fingerprint to unlock." Both brothers pressed the verification pads on the alloy lids. The boxes beeped once, and the lids slid open, revealing the manuals inside: Luo Feng's 9 Heavy Thunderblade and Luo Xia's World Extinction. "Please inspect and sign if everything is in order," the delivery men said as they watched with visible envy. Secret manuals like the 9 Heavy Thunderblade and World Extinction were top-tier techniques, the kind ordinary martial artists could rarely afford. That two young brothers had bought both at once impressed them. Luo Feng and Luo Xia signed the delivery slips. As the delivery men turned to leave, one of them muttered, "Just this one secret manual, with 2 discs, that's 100 million Chinese yuan." Luo Feng looked at his manual, shook his head in appreciation, and said to Luo Xia, "Making secret manuals must be the most profitable business. If you ever come up with a new sword technique and sell it in the mall, you'd never be short on money." Luo Xia smiled and shook his head. "To make money like Hong and the others, you'd need at least an S-grade sword technique. That's not easy." He spoke modestly. In truth, with his current heaven-defying comprehension ability, creating an S-grade sword technique wouldn't be that difficult. And now that he had Hong's World Extinction, an expert-level spear manual, if he could fully grasp its underlying philosophy and methods of exerting power, he could use that foundation to develop a sword technique no weaker than World Extinction. They locked the manuals in the safe and set off for the martial arts hall. As they stepped into the main hall, a familiar voice called, "Oh, Luo Feng, Luo Xia, you're here. I was just about to look for you." They turned to see Wu Tong, the curator of the martial arts club, waving at them. Chapter 30. Create Swordsmanship. "Uncle Wu, were you looking for us?" Luo Feng asked, surprised. Wu Tong was about the same age as their neighbor Luo Hongguo, maybe even a year younger, and since both families lived in the Mingyue community, they'd always been close. That was why Luo Feng and Luo Xia no longer called him chief instructor. They called him Uncle Wu. Wu Tong stepped forward, clapped Luo Feng on the shoulder, nodded to Luo Xia, and smiled. "Yes, aren't you two martial artists now? You'll soon be entering the wilderness area for training. To make sure you're safe, per Manager Zhuge's decision, we're planning to assign you two to the Fire Hammer Squad." "The Fire Hammer Squad?" Luo Xia's eyebrows rose. "Isn't that a warrior general squad? I remember their captain is a warrior general." "That's right," Wu Tong grinned. "Manager Zhuge thinks highly of you two, so he's arranged for you to join a warrior general squad." The brothers exchanged glances, touched. Manager Zhuge had given them money and secured them placement in a top-tier squad. He truly had gone out of his way to help them. Then Wu Tong added bluntly, "But let me be frank, even though you're being placed in a warrior general squad, if you can't pull your weight there, they'll still toss you out." "We understand, Uncle Wu," Luo Feng and Luo Xia said in unison. Martial artist squads lived and died by teamwork. A single weak link could endanger everyone. Wu Tong then asked, "What brings you two to the martial arts hall today?" "We came to buy equipment and weapons," Luo Feng explained with a smile. "But we don't have any contribution points, so we were going to ask a senior martial artist we know to buy them for us." Wu Tong thought for a moment, then laughed. "Don't bother finding someone else. I'll buy them for you. Just transfer the money to me." The brothers brightened. "Really?" they asked. "Of course," Wu Tong said heartily. "Send me the list of what you need and I'll get it." "Thank you, Uncle Wu." They handed him the list gratefully, then went home. Back at their family's training hall, 100 square meters, more than enough for the two of them, they settled down to cultivate the secret manuals they'd purchased. Each sat cross-legged on his side of the room, the manuals open in their hands. Among all martial arts in the world, only speed is supreme. That line stared up at Luo Xia from the title page of World Annihilation. For a moment he felt as if a spear had flashed through the air at lightning speed, leaving a faint sting in his brow. Even a photocopy can give off that kind of aura, he murmured, flipping through the manual. The first 3 levels weren't long. He read them through quickly and memorized the key passages. Like the 9 heavy Thunderblade, the first 3 levels of World Annihilation came with corresponding movements and guiding techniques. Even though he'd only just finished reading, he'd already started to get a sense of it. He closed his eyes. A phantom appeared instantly, a tall man holding a spear. The man's breathing was peculiar, as if his whole body had become a spear. With each breath, the spear in his hands seemed to resonate. Then the phantom moved, thrust, stab, strike, bash, entangle, circle, block, grasp, pounce, point, parry, flourish. The techniques drew on ancient Chinese spear methods, each movement faster than the last, tearing through the air with hissing sounds. Luo Xia watched silently until the spear-wielding phantom slowly faded. When he opened his eyes, he whispered to himself, "So that's what only speed is supreme means. In a fight, you must always be faster than your opponent." He went on, thinking aloud. If you're faster, you get more chances to strike at weaknesses. But speed alone isn't enough. If your strength or power exertion is weak, being fast will only tickle your opponent's defenses. So my swordsmanship must be fast, and it must have strong power exertion. If I can keep the speed and make each strike's power exceed the enemy's defense, what enemy could stand against me? The more he thought, the brighter his eyes became. These weren't just empty thoughts. They were the insights Hong had recorded in World Annihilation. Luo Xia realized that, ultimately, all martial arts return to the same principles. He didn't use a spear, but the ideas and power exertion methods in World Annihilation could be adapted to swordsmanship. As he continued to study and internalize the first 3 levels, the phantom figure shifted. The spear subtly changed into a long sword. On impulse, Luo Xia rose, picked up the long sword that lay on his knees, and let his body merge with the phantom's movements. The sword began to move. Boom! A loud crack echoed through the training hall. Luo Feng spun and stared at the far wall in astonishment. A deep sword gouge had been cut into the specially reinforced wall, material designed to withstand 50mm armor-piercing rounds. Luo Xia? Luo Feng turned toward his brother, eyes wide. You did it?" They'd only been studying the manual for less than 3 hours. Luo Feng hadn't even started practicing the first level of the 9 heavy Thunderblade, and Luo Xia, and he had just read a spear manual, had already created his own sword technique, and with enough force to scar that armor-piercing wall. Luo Xia smiled and said, "I only created the first level. It's not fully complete, about half successful, I'd say." Luo Feng swallowed hard. He knew his brother was brilliant, the top scorer on the National College entrance exam, but this was astonishing. Just from reading for a few hours and adapting a spear manual into swordsmanship, he'd produced real destructive power. "Tell me, what effect will the completed first level have?" Luo Feng asked, eyes glued to the sword mark. Luo Xia thought for a moment, recalling the strike. "That blow just now had about twice my base physical strength in power exertion. If I complete the first level, the multiplier should be around 4 times. So it could probably break through this wall," Luo Xia concluded. Luo Feng's throat tightened. This wall was engineered to resist martial artists. Even armor-piercing shells would only dent it. If Luo Xia's first-level swordsmanship could cut into it, how strong was that in terms of raw force? The implications were staggering. Chapter 31. Life. Jin Luo Feng ran the numbers in his head, comparing the force amplification multiplier for the first stage of Luo Xia's new sword art with what he'd learned from the 9 heavy Thunderblade. After finishing the first 3 stages of that manual, he had carefully calculated that the 9 heavy Thunderblade's first stage could at most unleash 4 times a user's base physical strength. That was already a terrifying leap in power. And it was something Luo Feng himself couldn't manage at the moment. If Luo Xia could break through the wall just now, his first stage had to have an even higher amplification than the 9 heavies. "Xiao Xia," Luo Feng blurted out. "What's the force amplification multiplier for the first stage of your sword art?" Luo Xia twirled his sword and grinned. From what I can tell, once I fully master the first stage, it should be able to unleash 4 times my original physical strength. Luo Feng inhaled sharply. 4 times? That was almost the kind of amplification associated with the higher tiers of the 9 Heavy Thunderblade, something you'd expect from mid to upper stages of that manual, not a first stage from a newly conceived sword art. In other words, Luo Xia's creation might already surpass Thunder God's secret technique. Are you sure? Luo Feng asked, incredulous. Luo Xia smiled and met his brother's eyes. Big brother, you know I'd never lie to you. Luo Feng had no comeback. It was precisely because he trusted his brother completely that this revelation felt so unreal. Luo Xia had only read Hong's World Annihilation, and from that he'd crafted a completely new sword art that could rival a legendary manual. It felt outrageous. Big brother, I shouldn't keep you. I need to keep refining the first stage, Luo Xia said. All right, Luo Feng said, but your sword art's name is strange. You should give it a proper name. Luo Xia thought for a moment. Since my sword art is derived from Hong's World Annihilation, let's call it World Genesis. Luo Feng stared at him, torn between laugh and groan. You're lazy with names. Hong's was World Annihilation and yours is World Genesis. Aren't you worried Hong will come after you for stealing his title? Luo Xia chuckled. He's recognized as the strongest in the world. He'll probably have more important things to worry about than whether I named a technique. Luo Feng still looked uncertain. Don't be careless. Hong and the others might really take issue with this. After all, if your first stage already unleashes 4 times your base strength, it's stronger than many secret manuals they produced. I've only completed the first stage, Luo Xia said, spreading his hands with a smile. They joked for a while, and then returned to their training. Luo Feng, stung by his brother's progress, swung the battle blade in his hands all afternoon, trying to force the 9 Heavy Thunderblade's first stage to manifest, but to no avail. Luo Xia, blessed with extraordinary comprehension, steadily polished his sword art. By the time their mother called them down for dinner, he could unleash the first stage of World Genesis at full proficiency. A single release of power that burst forth with 4 times his normal strength. Days passed. Although Wu Tong had officially assigned both brothers to the Fire Hammer Squad, the squad was currently on leave, which meant Luo Feng and Luo Xia had plenty of time at home to study and cultivate. Luo Xia moved on to the second stage of World Genesis. That stage promised to amplify his physical strength 8-fold. 8 times, already beyond what the 9 Heavy Thunderblade could achieve even at its 9th stage, which at best could only reach about 7 times normal strength. While refining the sword art, Luo Xia also began designing a new guiding technique. He had previously comprehended an advanced guiding technique from the 5 hearts towards the sky cultivation method, but it wasn't compatible with the current sword art and required the rank of warrior general to cultivate. So he adjusted the structure and began assembling a guiding technique that would work hand in hand with his sword art. Guiding techniques mattered. When combined with gene energy, they could speed up cultivation and accelerate the evolution of one's life genes. Speaking of life genes, Luo Xia's thoughts drifted to one of the most important concepts in the original Swallowed Star setting: life genes. Every life form in the universe, whether carbon-based, silicon-based, or even purely energetic, possessed life genes. As individuals cultivated and evolved, their life genes could become stronger than those of ordinary beings, sometimes 6 or 7 times stronger, sometimes 10, and the stronger the life genes, the greater the advantage in power, speed, and gene energy. For 2 martial artists at the same planetary level, a 10-fold advantage in life genes could translate into more than 10 times the strength, speed, and energy. In most cases, the life gene multiplier increases with cultivation, but there's an upper limit. For ordinary life forms, it's extraordinarily difficult to exceed a 100-fold multiplier. That was almost a ceiling. Certain special life forms could break through that limit, pushing the multiplier into the hundreds or thousands, but even that had a cap. According to the original novel, nothing continued improving indefinitely. At some extreme point, often cited around 10,000 times, further growth became impossible. The most unique life forms in the original story reached only around 5,000 times ordinary life form genes. It grew ever harder to gain each increment. Luo Xia remembered that in the original tale, Luo Feng's complete rise was tied to his life gene multiplier, reaching a perfect level, 10,081 times that of an ordinary life form. But that extraordinary boost came from his Yuhai clone. Without Yuhai, the Earthling body alone could only reach about 3,000 times. That was impressive, but not perfect. If I want to reach the top someday, I have to keep evolving my life genes and approach that perfection, Luo Xia muttered. It would be incredibly difficult. The Nine Calamities Secret Manual seemed to be one of the only known methods to boost the gene multiplier significantly, and it was a heaven-defying, God-King level technique passed down to just one person. Luo Xia tried to remember where that manual was supposed to be on Earth, but the details of the original novel were too vast and hazy. He couldn't place it now. He shook his head. It was too early to worry about the ultimate secrets. With his comprehension ability, he believed he could eventually devise a cultivation method to evolve life genes. For now, I'll start with the guiding technique, he said to himself. With a proper guiding technique, cultivating gene energy can slowly evolve life genes. It's a slow process, but it works. Using the guiding technique, fragments recorded by Hong in World Annihilation, and combining them with the technique he'd previously comprehended but couldn't yet cultivate, Luo Xia began to craft a new guiding technique tailored for his sword art. It was painstaking work, but with his ability to grasp and adapt profound concepts, he was confident the result would accelerate his path in ways ordinary methods could not. For Luo Xia, reworking a guiding technique to fit his swordplay was not difficult. He even had Hong's guiding technique to study and borrow ideas from. With the help of his heaven-defying comprehension ability, it didn't take long before he improvised a guiding technique perfectly suited to his swordsmanship. The result was powerful. Comparing it to his brother Luo Feng's 9 Heavy Thunderblade guiding technique, the World Genesis guiding technique Luo Xia had just grasped allowed him to cultivate at roughly 10 times the speed of the 9 Heavy Thunderblade. Not only that, Luo Xia took his brother's 9 Heavy Thunderblade guiding technique and optimized it. After his tweaks, Luo Feng's cultivation speed jumped to about 5 or 6 times what it had been before. "Little Xia, you're amazing!" Luo Feng could only laugh in disbelief. He sat cross-legged and began to cultivate the newly upgraded guiding technique. Almost at once, the universe energy around him surged into his body, and faint arcs of electricity danced across his skin. Luo Xia smiled and sat down beside him. He activated the World Genesis swordsmanship guiding technique and began to cultivate his gene energy. The surrounding universe energy crashed toward him like a storm, forming a vortex with Luo Xia at its center. The suction was so strong that some of the energy Luo Feng had already drawn in leaned toward Luo Xia. Seeing that, Luo Feng opened his eyes and shook his head wryly. "Looks like I'll need to sit further away from you in cultivating, or you'll steal all the universe energy," he muttered, moving a few steps back before resuming his cultivation. Days passed in that rhythm. Luo Xia improved noticeably every day. Luo Feng's progress was a bit slower, but with the forging body technique as his foundation and Luo Xia's upgraded version of the 9 Heavy Thunderblade guiding technique, his improvement was still plainly visible. August 28th. While the two brothers were training at home, they received a message from Chen Gu, vice captain of the Fire Hammer Squad. They were heading into the wilderness area to hunt monsters that day. By now, Luo Xia's physical fitness had reached the level of a junior warrior general, and Luo Feng was not far behind. The brothers prepared early and followed Chen Gu's instructions to assemble at the community gate. "Luo Feng, Luo Xia," Chen Gu called as soon as they arrived. He was with another familiar face from Mingyue community, Zhang Ke, who carried an iron spear. "Brother Chen, Brother Zhang," the two brothers greeted them. Although they weren't always together, everyone in Mingyue community knew one another. "Let's go. The four of us will head to the HR Alliance Mall to meet the captain and the rest of the team, then depart for the wilderness area together," Chen Gu said with a smile. The captain and several squad members were from other satellite districts of Jiangnan Base City, so Luo Xia and the others needed to catch up with them at the HR Alliance Mall. The HR Alliance was extremely wealthy. Every base city seemed to have a towering HR Alliance building. The group took the Alliance's shuttle to the mall. At the entrance, respectful doormen welcomed them. "Sirs, welcome to the HR Alliance Mall. Please come in." Luo Xia nodded and followed Chen Gu and Zhang Ke into the skyscraper. Chen Gu knew the place well. As they entered, he suggested, "Let's sit at the bar over there. The captain and the others will be a little while." The brothers had never been to a place like this, and they kept gawking as they walked. The HR Alliance really is something. Look at the lobby materials. They shine so much you can see your reflection, Luo Feng murmured in surprise. Luo Xia grinned. "Even the waiters are good-looking. I heard they require a first-tier university degree. Just their salaries must cost a fortune." They reached a booth and sat. A pretty waitress with a bright smile approached. "Sirs, what would you like to drink?" "Tea Guanyin," Chen Gu replied. "Pu-erh tea, with a hint of jasmine," Zhang Ke said. He was evidently a regular. Luo Feng paused, then smiled at the waitress. "I'll have a cup of pu-erh too." Luo Xia chose something more youthful. "A glass of iced cola, please." The waitress bowed slightly and went to fetch their drinks. Soft music drifted through the lobby as Chen Gu took the chance to explain to the two brothers who hadn't seen much of the world. "The first floor is for welcoming and resting guests," he said. "From the second floor up, the HR Alliance sells all kinds of goods. Prices here are generally lower than full price at the dojo of limits, though they're higher than our discounted rates. So some martial artists without many contribution points still choose to shop here." Zhang Ke added, "But the big thing is you can sell monster materials to the HR Alliance for very high prices, higher than the dojo. If you sell to the dojo, you get contribution points, so it's up to you whether you want money or points." Luo Xia listened and glanced around the glitzy lobby. Then he froze and nudged his brother with an elbow. "Big brother, look, sister-in-law." Luo Feng blinked, confused. "What sister-in-law?" "Oh, I mean, Senior Shu Xin." Luo Xia immediately corrected himself, embarrassed. He'd momentarily forgotten that Luo Feng hadn't actually married Shu Xin. Luo Feng followed the direction of his brother's nudge and saw a young woman in a white blouse and black suit pants speaking with a manager. For a moment, he stood stunned. "Shu Xin, how is she here?" Luo Feng whispered. "The HR Alliance Mall, if she was working as a manager here, that was a position not easily earned. Go talk to her," Luo Xia urged, pushing his brother toward the woman. Luo Feng snapped out of his daze, smiled apologetically at Chen Gu and Zhang Ke, and excused himself. "Brother Chen, Brother Zhang, I'll be right back." He hurried over to Shu Xin. Chen Gu and Zhang Ke exchanged a knowing look, and Chen Gu asked Luo Xia quietly, "Is that your brother's girlfriend?" Luo Xia shook his head and explained, "Not yet. Senior Shu Xin was my brother's classmate in high school. He's always had a crush on her, but he hasn't confessed." The two men glanced toward Xuyin, where Luo Feng and she were already talking, somewhat awkwardly, both wearing embarrassed smiles. Zhang Ke leaned over and muttered, "For someone that age to be a manager here, her family background must be something special." Chen Gu frowned, thinking. Surname hesitated, then added, "Could she be from that Shu family?" "You mean the Su family that joined the HR Alliance?" Zhang Ke said, and his voice went a notch higher. Both of them nodded to themselves. "It's possible. Only a family with that kind of clout could put someone into a managerial position at the HR Alliance at her age." To expand its influence, the HR Alliance had brought powerful family forces into its fold. In China, 12 families had joined them, and the Shu family was one of those 12. Chapter 33, Firehammer Squad. "Chen Gu, how long have you been here?" As Luo Xia and the others were talking, a deep voice cut across the booth. 3 tall figures filled the doorway, casting long shadows over them. Luo Xia looked up and saw a massive man, as broad as a bear, with 2 enormous black hammers strapped to his back. At his sides stood a pair of strikingly similar twin brothers, each carrying a shield and a scimitar. "Captain!" Chen Gu and Zhang Ke stood and called out. Luo Xia rose too and introduced himself. "Captain, I'm Luo Xia." The bear-like man was the captain of the Firehammer Squad. He looked Luo Xia over and grinned. "So you're the one Wutong mentioned. 16 years old and already with advanced warrior-level fitness. Impressive. Don't you have an older brother?" Where is he? Big brother, the captain's here, Luo Xia shouted, waving to Luo Feng, who was nearby. Luo Feng said something to Xu and then jogged over. Captain, I'm Luo Feng. You're Luo Feng? You're doing well too. Good. Once you two enter the wilderness area, learn from Wei Tie and Wei Qing. You'll fit right in. The captain introduced himself. I'm Gao Feng, and these are Wei Tie and Wei Qing. Brother Tie, Brother Qing, Luo Xia and Luo Feng greeted in unison. Wei Tai looked at Luo Xia with a friendly curiosity. I heard you're a twin as well? Wei Qing added, You and Luo Feng? Luo Xia shook his head with a smile. No, this is my older brother. My twin doesn't have martial talent. He's still in school. Wei Qing laughed. You didn't say. I almost forgot. You should be in high school at your age. Because Luo Xia was also a twin, the twins treated him warmly. Chenggu chuckled. You probably don't know, Xiao Xia was the top scorer in this year's National College Entrance Examination. Really? Is that true? Even Captain Gao Feng looked surprised. Of course it's true, Zhang Ke said, smiling at Luo Xia. If he'd been like this before the Great Nirvana, he'd have been more popular than we martial artists. Ha! I didn't expect our Firehammer squad to get someone both scholarly and martial, Wei Tie laughed. Gao Feng clapped his hands together. Good, everyone. Take a rest. We'll depart later tonight. Yes, Captain, the group answered. Including Luo Xia and Luo Feng, the squad numbered 7. After 20 minutes, they finished their drinks and prepared to leave. Luo Feng, Xuxin's voice called out as she ran up, slightly breathless, cheeks flushed. Luo Feng turned. Xuxin, what's the matter? She glanced at him, embarrassed but smiling. I'm starting university in a few days. During term, on Saturdays and Sundays, I'll be working here as a manager. You have to come by. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. Okay, I'll definitely come. Xuxin beamed, shy and pleased, then hurried away. Luo Xia nudged his brother. Not bad, big brother. Did you confess just now? Luo Feng awkwardly rubbed his nose. Not yet. You haven't even confessed and she's already throwing herself at you. That's youth for you. Captain Gao Feng joked, making Luo Feng laugh. Let's go. Get in the vehicle. The Firehammer squad of 7 boarded an HR Alliance transport and drove straight to the train station. From there, they would transfer to a train, leave Bay City, and head north to the wilderness area where monsters roamed. Hundreds of miles north of Jiangnan Bay City, the train rolled into a military station. It slowed, then stopped with a rumble. Fully armed martial artists filed off the cars, more than 20 in all. They naturally formed into 4 squads. Luo Feng, Luo Xia. When we go out to hunt monsters, we always stop at the military base for supplies, Chen Gu explained as they disembarked. As the deputy captain, he took the chance to brief the new members on routines. He pointed to a towering iron structure 50 or 60 meters high nearby. Do you know why there's a tall tower like that in the base? To watch the surrounding area? Luo Feng guessed. Chen Gu nodded. That's one function, but the main purpose is to guide martial artists in the wilderness. When you see a shining tall tower, it means there's a military base nearby that can provide shelter and supplies. Think of it like a lighthouse. It shows us the way home. Luo Xia and Luo Feng exchanged a look and nodded before following the others toward the supply compound. The martial artist supply base was quiet and well kept, tucked inside the garrison. Firehammer squad, you'll stay in E6. An officer from the supply base handed Captain Gao Feng a key and patted him on the shoulder. Old Gao, how long will you be hunting this time? If you get any rare materials, bring them to the HR Alliance. We'll give you a good price. Although dressed in military uniforms, these officers represented various organizations, the Dojo of Limits, Lei Dian Martial Hall, and the HR Alliance. They provided services to martial artists and bought rare monster materials. Gao Feng laughed. We'll talk later. For now, get us lunch ready. With that, they headed for building E6. Gao Feng opened the door with the key. Chen Gu told Luo Xia and Luo Feng, if you want to rest, rest. We won't head into the wilderness until night. Luo Feng looked puzzled. Why don't we leave during the day? Isn't the wilderness more dangerous at night? Zhang Ke, already stretched out on a sofa, grinned. It's late August, hottest time of the year. Carrying heavy gear in this heat would be deadly. Chen Gu added, so even though the wilderness is riskier at night, martial artists usually set out at dusk. Luo Feng nodded, finally understanding the reasoning. They settled in to wait until evening, preparing for the hunt ahead. Chapter 34. Two Brothers Battle. At dusk, the fully armed 7-man Firehammer squad left the supply base and entered the wilderness area. The squad moved in a tight formation. Wei Tie and Wei Qing, the two brothers, took point with scimitars and shields, cutting a path ahead. In the middle were the rookies, Luo Feng and Luo Xia, flanked and protected by Chen Gu, the machine gunner. Captain Gao Feng and Zhang Ke brought up the rear. If we follow this highway, it'll take about 3 days to reach county-level city 0201, Captain Gao Feng said, pointing down the cracked ribbon of tarmac that stretched into the distance. The road was ruined, riddled with potholes and fissures, littered with rusted cars, vans, and trucks. With a closer look, you could even make out blackened bloodstains dried into the concrete. The sinking sun painted the ruined highway crimson. An air of desolation and wildness hung over the scene. "Move out," Gao Feng ordered, and the 7 advanced at an even pace. All around them, distant, eerie roars echoed from the abandoned villages and rubble-strewn fields. Monster silhouettes showed themselves among the ruined houses. "Up ahead, unicorn boar. Around F grade," Gao Feng said suddenly, halting the column with a raised hand. "Which of you two brothers will take it? This'll be your first fight out here." "I'll go, big brother," Luo Xia said immediately. Luo Feng stepped between them with a faint, easy smile. "You put on a show during the combat assessment. Let me handle this one. I want to see what the difference is between assessment beasts and the wild ones." He said it lightly, but the truth was simpler. He didn't want his younger brother to face danger first. Monsters in the wilderness area were more vicious and unpredictable than those raised inside the military zones. If Luo Feng fought first, Luo Xia could watch and learn. Safer that way. Luo Feng, you go," Captain Gao Feng decided. "Be careful," Chen Gu warned. "Wilderness monsters are much tougher than the ones in the training grounds." Luo Feng nodded. He drew his blood shadow battle blade, lifted his shield in his left hand, and moved out to meet the unicorn boar. From the rear of the group, Chen Gu and Zhang Ke exchanged looks. "Isn't that too much for his first fight? An F-grade boar is like an intermediate warrior. Maybe even a bit stronger since monsters have thicker hides," Chen Gu said. Zhang Ke agreed, concerned. Wei Ti, however, glanced at the two brothers and shrugged. "The captain knows what he's doing. Luo Feng's physical quality isn't worse than that monster's. It'll be difficult, but he can handle it. He might take some hits, but he'll win." Luo Xia watched with his usual smile, confident in his brother. With the help Luo Xia had provided, Luo Feng had become stronger than in the original records. His physical condition was already close to that of a junior warrior general. He might lack combat experience, but his physique could more than compensate. By the time the others debated, Luo Feng had already started the fight. He moved with a calm, practiced rhythm. After 3 to 5 exchanges of attack and counter, Luo Feng used a sudden, powerful strike to break through the unicorn boar's defenses. His blood shadow battle blade cleaved with brutal precision, nearly slicing off half the beast's head. The boar collapsed. It was a decisive victory. Gao Feng and Chen Gu watched in surprise. Both were warrior general-level veterans, and from Luo Feng's footwork, strength, and reaction speed, they could deduce the truth. His physical quality was well beyond an advanced warrior, edging close to junior warrior general level, and he was only 18. Freak, monster. The Wei brothers muttered the 2 words in disbelief. Luo Feng jogged back toward the group, holding the boar's horn. "Captain, this horn." Gao Feng arched an eyebrow, then smiled. "You killed it. The horn's yours." Luo Feng nodded and stuffed the horn into his pack without hesitation. Chen Gu grinned. That horn could fetch 3,000 yuan at a martial arts school, maybe 5,000 with the HR Alliance. Not bad for contribution points. They chatted as they moved on. Soon they ran into another F-grade beast, a tiger cat. It was speckled, heavy-set like a calf, and faster and stronger than the unicorn boar. "This one's for Luo Xia," Gao Feng said. Luo Xia drew his silver moon longsword, planted his shield, and stepped forward. Luo Feng's expression tightened. He was nervous in spite of himself. "Don't be careless," he warned. "Don't worry, big brother," Luo Xia said with a small smile. Then he pushed off and charged. He closed the distance in an instant. His speed took everyone by surprise. The tiger cat saw him, snarled, and launched itself. dodging Luo Xia's first sword strike, then springing into a pounce with claws and fangs bared. Luo Xia raised his shield just in time. The impact rang off the metal, knocking the cat back, and in the same motion, he thrust his longsword through the beast's throat. Blood spurted. With a series of agonized roars, the tiger cat twitched and died. It was over in a heartbeat, faster and cleaner than Luo Feng's fight. Did he do that on purpose? Zhang Ke asked Chen Gu in astonishment. Chen Gu frowned, replaying the move in his head. After a moment, he nodded. Yes, he deliberately missed with the first strike to bait the tiger cat into pouncing. Only when it exposed itself like that could he find the opening to finish it with one blow. Gao Feng agreed. When it lunged, it revealed its weak point. He exploited it perfectly. The Wei brothers were stunned. That kind of tactical thinking, faking an attack to bait an enemy and force a revealing movement, was something you'd expect from seasoned wilderness fighters, not a newcomer. Luo Feng watched his younger brother thoughtfully. So that's another way to fight out here. If I'd baited the unicorn boar like that, maybe I wouldn't have needed 5 rounds. Maybe 2 would have done it. Chapter 35, County Level City Number 201. The Fire Hammer Squad had not expected Luo Feng and Luo Xia to be so capable. In their very first engagement, the two brothers demonstrated movement, coordination, and battlefield instincts far beyond anyone's expectations. Over the next 3 days, Gao Feng and the other warrior generals personally coached them, passing along combat experience and techniques for fighting monsters. Under such tutelage, the brothers' practical abilities shot up like a rocket. Early one morning, the squad moved along a crumbling ring road close to County Level City Number 201. 2 F-tier tiger mastiffs up ahead. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, take them, Captain Gao Feng ordered. Yes, Captain, the brothers answered and charged out. Their experience now was worlds away from what it had been 3 days earlier. As the tiger mastiffs closed, the outcome was already decided. Luo Feng drew the beast's attention, luring them into a pounce. Luo Xia stepped up with his longsword and shield, spotting the mastiff's opening. In a single fluid motion, the brothers struck together. Luo Feng's battle saber and Luo Xia's longsword drove into the mastiff's weak points. Both creatures dropped dead in one coordinated blow. Gao Feng and the others watched with satisfied nods. The change was obvious. Their combat was no longer clumsy or raw. Luo Xia in particular impressed everyone. He seemed to find a monster's weakness at the first opportunity, then force an opening and finish the fight in a single exchange. That kind of rhythm was something even some warrior generals struggled to achieve. Let's move into the city, Gao Feng said, gesturing for the squad to fall in. The fresh blood from those mastiffs will draw other monsters. Get inside first. They moved into the suburbs of county-level city number 0201. While they walked through streets lined with dilapidated houses, Chen Gu briefed the brothers. The highways we've been traveling these last few days are mostly desolate. Even when monsters appear out there, their numbers tend to be low. But cities are different, Zhang Ke added. Monsters are smart. They know the open wasteland leaves them exposed to long-range human weapons. After humans withdrew into base cities, abandoned urban areas became ideal cover for monsters. In other words, Wei Ti said, high-density places like county towns and urban districts are the monsters' paradise now. Stay alert in the city, Wei Qing warned. It's dangerous. There are beast general-level monsters and worse. The beast generals aren't just stronger, Chen Gu said. They're smarter. They'll command hordes of beast soldiers and use them tactically. You did read up on this, right? Chen Gu said to Luo Xia with a small grin. Top scorer on the college entrance exam and still remembering the briefing. Gao Feng was checking his handheld when he suddenly stopped. Be careful, he said. There's an iron-armored bull lair ahead. The leader is probably a high-level beast general, and there are lots of iron-armored bulls. We'll bypass it. If one attacks, kill it instantly. Don't let it call for help. Understood, Captain. The squad slipped into a narrow alley and moved cautiously. Wei Ti, at the front, raised his hand and halted them. In a small clearing ahead, a giant iron fur wild boar lay on the ground, and 2 tiger mastiffs were tearing at its carcass. One of the mastiffs lifted its head and stared straight at the squad. We'll go around. Don't engage, Gao Feng murmured. Outside the open wasteland, you could kill monsters without drawing others, but in the city, the smell of blood would quickly attract more predators. The Firehammer squad wound around the lair, avoiding fights whenever possible. On a few occasions, they had no choice but to kill instantly, but they kept contact to a minimum. Their destination was a residential complex called Blue Sky Residential Complex, 321-story apartment blocks. Rooftops, Gao Feng ordered. But be careful, there could be monsters inside the buildings. Don't make a sound. They climbed the stairwells in single file. Halfway up, a low animal roar rolled down the stairwell. Wei Ti and Wei Qing paused, then whispered, "It's upstairs. Stay sharp." In the tight, echoing space of the stairwell, there was little room to dodge. The brothers steadied their grips and advanced step by step. From around the corner, a tiger mastiff, 2 meters tall, thick-furred like a compact armored vehicle, launched itself onto the stairs. It locked eyes with the squad and charged, exuding raw, predatory intensity. Wei Ti and Wei Qing moved in near-perfect unison. Each carried a shield and a scimitar. They brushed past the mastiff and slashed across the joints of its front legs. The wounds crippled the beast, and it stumbled, losing balance. That was the opening Luo Feng and Luo Xia had trained for. From the center, they stepped forward together. One brother's battle saber struck for the neck, while the other's longsword drove for the eyes. A crack, a wet sound, and the mastiff emitted its last death rattle before collapsing on the stairs. The kill was clean and efficient. Luo Feng and Luo Xia had already integrated into the squad's rhythm. They moved and fought as one with the Firehammer squad now. Their rapid progress over 3 days had been dramatic, and it showed in a stairwell kill as much as it did on the highway. They resumed climbing, alert for whatever waited above. The city was dangerous, but the squad had a plan, and 2 new soldiers who had proven they could keep up. "Well done!" Captain Gao Feng praised them as he urged the team onward. Before long, they reached the rooftop of the top floor. During the climb, Luo Xia and the others had run into 3 monsters in total, low-ranked F-class beasts, and the group had handled them quickly, moving with practiced efficiency. "Seal the stairwell," Gao Feng ordered as soon as they stepped onto the roof. "Close the door tight. Don't let anything run up from downstairs." Only now, out in the open on the relatively safe rooftop, did the tension drain from the rookies' shoulders. They finally allowed themselves to relax. Zhang Ke found a corner, sat down, and pulled high-energy rations and water from his pack. The others did the same. The morning's constant pressure had left them needing to replenish. Captain Gao Feng, however, took out a handheld device and scrolled through it with a frown. After a moment, he looked up. "You all brought binoculars, right?" he asked. "Take them out and scan the streets below. See if you can spot any beast general level monsters. And don't expose too much. Keep your heads and bodies low. If anything down there notices you, it could get ugly." The warning was aimed at the 2 rookies, Luo Xia and Luo Feng. They nodded, chewing their chocolate bars, and took the binoculars from their packs. They moved to the rooftop's edge and began sweeping the streets below. Monsters streamed through the avenues, dozens, hundreds in places. If a warrior general had been caught in the middle of some of those groups, they'd have had little chance. One by one, the squad reported their observations over the comms. "Captain, these are all beast soldier levels. No beast generals in my sector. Same here. Except for Chen Gu, everyone on the roof, Gao Feng and the 7 others, was scanning for signs of beast general level creatures. As the team's sniper and designated marksman, Chen Gu conserved his energy, waiting for a general to appear so he could pick it off. He stayed nearby, resting and keeping his rifle within reach. "Search carefully. Don't miss anything," Gao Feng said. Rooftop reconnaissance was the fastest, safest way to find beast generals, far quicker than combing the streets. They arranged themselves so each member covered a different direction, eyes trained on every alley and avenue below. Meanwhile, on a battered highway some 30 kilometers outside the county town, a 6-man martial artists squad moved rapidly toward County Town 0201. A tiger emblem stitched onto the left breast of each combat uniform marked them as the Tiger Fang Squad from Jiangnan Bay City, well known and feared. The 6 were deadly, 4 warrior generals and 2 advanced warriors. Their presence alone was formidable. "Old Han, you get a fix on his location?" asked a burly man in a low voice. This was Zhang Zehu, an advanced warrior and the paternal uncle of Zhang Haobai, whom Luo Feng knew. Though officially an advanced warrior, Zhang Zehu's physique and condition were nearly that of a junior warrior general. The man holding a compass-like instrument glanced up at the county town ahead. According to the signal from the tracking flare I planted on the Silver Moon Dire Wolf, he should be about 40 li from us. If I'm not mistaken, he's in County Town 0201 right now. Good, we've got a fix. The squad's captain, short, lean, and dark-skinned, smirked coldly. That Silver Moon Dire Wolf we tangled with before. Based on what we saw, it's an advanced beast general. Might even be bordering on lord level. Lucky for us, it was badly wounded the last time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have escaped, another member said. The captain's smile hardened. This time we're fully recovered, and the beast is weakened again. We can't let it slip away. We kill it now, and we all get rich. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the Tiger Fang squad. A Silver Moon Dire Wolf fetched a king's ransom, worth years of wages, and killing one would do wonders for their reputation. Back at Blue Sky Residential Area, on the rooftop, Zhang Ke suddenly shouted, "Captain, over here!" Everyone swiveled to his direction. In the northwest street, seen through the binoculars, a mass of boar-type monsters milled about, unicorn boars and iron fur wild boars, at least 100 of them. Slotted among them was a larger, blood-red pig-like creature ringed with thick scales. Luo Xia, who had a mental index of monster types, called out, "Is that a bloodthirsty tank?" "It is," Gao Feng confirmed. "The bloodthirsty tank. Heavy scales, insane defense. It's the second rank among boar types." "Big catch," Zhang Ke breathed. "Judging by the scale color, it looks like an elementary beast general, maybe pushing toward intermediate." Captain Gao Feng nodded. "Bloodthirsty tanks sell for a lot. Even though it's only elementary grade, its value rivals some intermediates." He turned to Chen Gu. "It's on you." Chen Gu had been dozing a little, rifle across his knees. The remark woke him. He thumbed the bolt of his sniper and studied the scope, registering the bushy, armored beast through the lens. "This thing's scales will shrug off normal armor-piercing rounds," he murmured. "I'll have to use my special rounds." He opened a hard iron case, withdrew 3 bullets with blood-red casings, treasure-grade, high-penetration rounds, and loaded them with practiced motions. Then he settled into Zhang Ke's former position, planted the heavy silver-gray sniper on a rest, and peered through the scope. The bloodthirsty tank filled the crosshairs, its massive flank gleaming with layered scales. Chen Gu's eyes were cold and focused as he lined up the first shot. Sunlight filtered through the clouds, glinting coldly off the silver-gray barrel. Then, bang! A single, crisp shot cracked through the air. The armor-piercing round tore through the joint where the bloodthirsty tank's neck met its skull and punched a neat hole through its hide. The massive creature howled, staggering as it tried to stay upright. Slowly, it steadied itself and let out a roar. Around it, unicorn boars and iron fur wild boars snorted and circled, drawn by the scent of blood. On the rooftop, Chen Gu lifted his head from the scope and said with quiet confidence, "Lucky shot. I hit its vitals. That thing's tough. It can hang on for a while, but it'll be down within 5 minutes." Zhang Ke gave him a thumbs up. "Nice shot." Wei Tai, eyes on the encircling monsters, added, "We still have to figure out how to get the bloodthirsty tank's corpse out from under that horde." Captain Gao Feng smiled and issued orders. "Stick to the old plan. Wei Ti, Wei Qing, both of you draw and disrupt the swarm. Luo Feng and I will secure the tank. Luo Xia and Zhang Ke, you two cover Chen Gu." "Understood," the team answered. True to Chen Gu's prediction, 5 minutes later the bloodthirsty tank collapsed and lay still. The team dropped from the rooftop and moved in. As they neared the beast, Gao Feng murmured, "Get ready! Move! Whoosh!" Wei Tai and Wei Qing hurled 2-timed explosives into the mob. The devices blinked and chirped. Before the monsters could react, the bombs detonated with a pair of violent booms. 2 beasts nearest the blasts were shredded. The rest recoiled in startled rage. "Charge!" Gao Feng bellowed. He surged forward, heavy hammer swinging like a rotating storm. Luo Feng followed, blood shadow battle blade in hand, flanked by the Wei brothers. Luo Xia and Chen Gu guarded the rear while Zhang Ke brought up the tail. The 7 of them moved as one and cut into the horde. Gao Feng's hammer smashed down. two beasts who failed to dodge had their skulls crushed instantly. The force he delivered, on the order of an intermediate war general, roughly the equivalent of a 16,000-kilogram strike, overwhelmed even the monster's formidable defenses. When he reached the bloodthirsty tank, he set the hammer at his feet, drew a small dagger, and began cutting out valuable tissue from the carcass. Luo Feng and the Wei brothers formed a protective ring, keeping the mob at bay while the captain harvested the prize. Luo Xia and Zhang Ke kept close to Chen Gu. As the team's sniper, Chen Gu wasn't a strong, close combatant. The monsters noticed and lunged. Roar! Luo Xia's eyes narrowed. He brought his longsword to bear and unleashed the first stage of World Genesis, the fourfold force exertion technique. Already a junior warrior general, his strength and speed spiked, on the verge of surpassing an intermediate war general. 6 beasts pounced in tandem. Luo Xia struck precise weak points. Blood geysered, and 6 bodies crumpled to the street. Zhang Ke, spear in hand, skewered 2 more and shoved back 3 others. From the corner of his eye, he watched Luo Xia's blade flashes, 6 kills in the blink of an eye, and his face went pale with disbelief. 3 enraged beasts, however, charged straight at Zhang Ke. He carried a spear and no shield. 3 iron fur wild boars hitting together at their 50 meters per second charge would deliver enough kinetic force to maim him, even if it didn't kill. Zhang Ke braced for the worst. A silver streak of light flashed, and the attack never came. Steel sang through the air, leaving 3 new wounds in the mob. Zhang Ke looked over, astonished. Luo Xia had cut in, sword flashing like moonlight, and the 3 attackers lay bleeding where they had planned to collide with him. "Brother Zhang, stay closer," Luo Xia said calmly. "Thanks, Luo Xia," Zhang Ke called, voice thick with relief. Chen Gu, who'd been watching from cover, saw the whole sequence in sharp clarity. Luo Xia's movement had been surgical. A fatal strike to the lead unicorn boar, an instant pivot, a thrust that drove the sword through another creature's ear and out the other side, then a clean pull and an upward sweep, the blood-stained blade arcing like a crimson crescent, nearly severing a final throat. The efficiency, the calmness, it all looked like the god of death harvesting lives. Chen Gu felt a chill. "More are coming," Wei Ti shouted from the flank, voice tight. "Captain, hurry!" The blood and the noise drew more of the pack. Where bodies fell, the scent only made the rest savagely bolder. Gao Feng laid down an order. "Chen Gu, open fire!" Chen Gu licked his lips and grinned. He'd swapped his sniper rifle for a machine gun before coming down, long belts of ammunition draped over his shoulders. He'd held his fire earlier to avoid attracting the horde, but now there was no point in staying quiet. "Zhang Ke, Xia, fall back a little," he called. "On it." They slid aside. Chen Gu thumbed the trigger. Brrr, the gun barked, and streams of tracer-like bullets sprayed the oncoming creatures. Flesh tore, blood sprayed, bodies collapsed into motionless heaps. The machine gun chewed through the ranks. One monster after another hit the ground, cold and still. "Ha ha! Die! Scream!" Chen Gu laughed, almost manic, as he emptied belts after belts. Luo Xia, Zhang Ke, and the others formed a guard around him, cutting down anything that tried to sneak past, and making sure no creature could get close enough to stop the hail of fire. Chapter 38, Luo Hua's Phone Call. In a group fight, Chen Gu's skill with a machine gun allowed one man to be worth 10 martial artists. Still, machine guns were only effective against monsters below beast general rank. Anything higher required special rounds to pierce their defenses. "All right, let's go," Captain Gao Feng shouted. He had just finished harvesting the materials from the bloodthirsty tank and signaled the retreat. Luo Xia and the others exhaled in relief. More monsters were converging on them. Whoosh, whoosh. Hundreds of enraged beasts surged like a tidal wave, making the whole street feel like it was shaking. Crumbling houses trembled and sent out ominous groans. "This is terrifying," Luo Feng said, glancing back. The torrent of monsters behind them made his scalp prickle. This way. Running down the main road would be suicide with a horde like that, so after a short distance the team slipped into a narrow alley. The passage was barely 2 feet across. Monsters could only move single file. Taking advantage of the bottleneck, the Firehammer squad wove through the claustrophobic network of alleys and slowly put distance between themselves and the horde. Half an hour later, they had finally shaken the pursuers. They arrived quietly on the rooftop of the 18-story Haihao Hotel. Only when Luo Xia and Luo Feng shut the roof door tight did everyone allow themselves to relax. Captain Gao Feng laughed, clapping them on the back. Haha, everyone did great today. Chen Gu's shot was flawless, and Luo Xia, you did well saving Zhang Qi. That bloodthirsty tank was an elementary beast general, one of the tougher ones at that. Not a bad haul for the first day. If things keep going like this, we'll have a pretty substantial take after a month. Luo Xia and the others smiled. Nearby, Luo Feng's watch buzzed, and he frowned. Huh? A call? He said. From home? Luo Xia asked. Luo Feng nodded. Your second brother. At a time like this? Luo Xia's voice was worried. Nothing happened at home, did it? Probably not. They're staying in Mingyue community. I think he's just checking up on us. The squad's combat communication watch made no audible sound when a call came in, so as not to disturb martial artists in the field. Only by looking at it did one know there had been a call. Big brother, call him back, Luo Xia urged. Luo Feng redialed. Beep, and then Luo Hua's voice came through. Hello, big brother. We were tied up earlier and missed your call, Xiaohua. Everything okay back home? Luo Feng asked. Luo Hua laughed. It's fine. I was just worried about you two. Mom and Dad kept asking me, but they didn't dare call you, so they had me check. Luo Feng glanced at Luo Xia and replied, Don't worry, we're fine. Okay, I'll tell them later, Luo Hua said. Luo Xia leaned in. Is Mom and Dad not home? Luo Hua chuckled sheepishly. They're out buying groceries. They're going to entertain my girlfriend tonight. Luo Xia and Luo Feng exchanged amused looks. Since when did you get a girlfriend? Luo Xia teased. Almost a month. Xiaonan didn't agree at first, so I didn't tell you, Luo Hua said. Not bad, second brother. Looks like we're getting another sister-in-law, Luo Xia said, grinning. Another sister-in-law? From you? Luo Feng sputtered, suddenly a little red. Yes, when we went to the HR Alliance earlier, we ran into... All right. Luo Feng cut him off and forced a laugh, embarrassed. Let's talk about this when we get back. Luo Xia flashed a happy look at Luo Feng. Big brother's shy. I'll tell you when I return. Okay, I'll wait. Luo Hua's voice was warm. Big brother, third brother, be careful out there. Come back safe. We will. Hanging up now. Luo Feng ended the call. Gao Feng and the others, having seen the brief exchange, burst into applause. Okay, everyone, gather up. We'll have a quick meeting, he joked. Really, great job today. Old rules apply. Spoils are divided according to combat contribution. We'll do the final split after this hunt and when we return to the supply base. His tone grew serious. One more thing, be extremely vigilant. This area is densely packed. It's practically a monster nest. There are many beast general level monsters in this county. Don't be careless. A lot of martial artists die every year from complacency. Yes, Captain, everyone answered. You all fought hard and used a lot of energy. Rest now. Some of you were traveling last night. We'll move out again at 4 in the afternoon. Yes. The team settled in, pleased at the rest order. On the rooftop, they leaned against each other or stretched out to sleep. The fight had drained Luo Xia. He curled up against Luo Feng and closed his eyes, drifting off. Meanwhile, across the county, the Tiger Fang squad had reached County 201 to hunt an injured Silver Moon dire wolf. Moving cautiously through a ruined alley where even the walls had collapsed, their captain suddenly held up his hand. Stop, he whispered. Listen up. Our target is only one, an injured Silver Moon dire wolf. Do not provoke any other monsters. Hide if you can. Escape if you can. Avoid fights. If anyone gets hurt, this mission is compromised. The 5 others nodded. An advanced beast general like a Silver Moon dire wolf was far more valuable than dozens of elementary beast generals. The captain kept talking, serious. Remember, this wolf is badly hurt. 2 or 3 solid hits, and it's done. Do not force it into a full-on fight. If it comes to a death match, at least 1 or 2 of us could die. Keep wounding it, make it bleed, wear it down until it collapses. They agreed again. Zhang Zehu spoke up. What if another squad shows up to snatch it? The captain smiled confidently. Don't worry, county-level areas usually don't attract God of War tier squads. There are only a handful of teams per county, and in this county our configuration is probably the strongest. We don't have to fear being jumped. He thought back, then added, stronger warrior general teams usually operate at the city level. Those places are tougher and have more beast general monsters. For example, the Firehammer squad mostly works city-level runs. They're only here in County 201 because they brought two newcomers, Luo Xia and Luo Feng. The Tiger Fang squad tightened their formation and continued forward, determined to finish the hunt quickly and cleanly. Chapter 39, Double-Tailed Tiger Cat. Captain, what if a martial artist squad really tries to snatch it? A one-eyed member of the Tiger Fang squad asked, frowning. A teammate laughed. Don't be ridiculous. Even we don't dare press too hard against that Silver Moon dire wolf. Martial artists in this county are at most warrior general rank. If they come to take it from us, they'll be asking for death. The Tiger Fang captain's voice went cold. In short, the Silver Moon dire wolf is ours. If anyone attempts to take it, kill them. They had stolen monsters from others before. Many had died for it. If anyone tried to seize the dire wolf now, the captain didn't mind adding more names to the list. He barked an order, and the squad moved out. Evening fell. Luo Xia and the others were rested, fed, and in good spirits. Binoculars up, they scanned the streets, hoping to find another beast general to hunt. Wei Tai sighed. We've spotted two beast generals already, but they're surrounded by lots of beast soldiers. Can't make a move. Wei Qing, beside him, nodded. This is why the city area is better. There are more beast generals there, and they tend to act alone. Most of the beast soldiers here are summoned by lord-level monsters. It's easier to hunt generals in the city than out in the county. Luo Feng looked thoughtful. I see. Captain Gao Feng, smiling, added, but the city is more dangerous. If we run into a lord-level monster, there's no escape. This county's safer. Luo Feng squinted into the distance. Is that a beast general? Luo Xia hurried over and raised his binoculars. On the street ahead, a dozen or so tiger cats strolled casually. One was enormous, bigger than a car, with two tails flicking behind it. Double-tailed, Luo Xia said. An elementary beast general double-tailed tiger cat. Among cat-type monsters, tails are a measure of power. The more tails, the stronger the beast. The others crowded around, excited. Double-tailed tiger cats typically don't travel with many minions, even at beast general rank. Gao Feng counted through his optics. Only 16 soldier-level tiger cats with it. We can strike now. Chen Gu grinned. With so few, I could take them myself. Gao Feng laughed. Don't get cocky. If we don't finish it and it gets away, it'll be a nightmare to chase. He lowered his voice and gave orders. Everyone, kill the ordinary tiger cats. I'll take the beast general. Stay back enough not to be affected. Chen Gu, don't fire that machine gun unless it's an emergency. Once you fire, we retreat immediately. We don't want another stampede like this morning. They all nodded. Understood. They slipped from the rooftop and moved toward the tiger cats. After leaving the Haihao Hotel, Luo Xia and Luo Feng climbed a low wall into a courtyard whose outer wall had crumbled. Weeds and moss ate the stones. Through a gap, Wei Ti peered at the street. He's out there, casually hunting with his pack, Wei Ti said. We're lucky. The double-tailed and its minions strolled down the road. Gao Feng lowered his voice. Remember the plan. Then, in a single motion, he charged. Heavy hammers in both hands, he moved like a tank but with frightening speed. Luo Xia and the others followed close behind, 7 bodies flashing into after-images as they burst forward. Tiger cats are alert predators. They were spotted before they could close. The double-tailed roared. The pack answered in a thunderous chorus that bounced off the surrounding buildings. Instead of fleeing, the tiger cats lunged, claws and fangs bared. Kill! Someone yelled. Luo Xia stayed close to Gao Feng. When Gao Feng struck the double-tailed, a tiger cat leapt at him. Luo Xia dipped his body to avoid the claws and drove his longsword at a razor angle, using the momentum of his charge. The blade sank into the creature's soft belly. He twisted, shredding its organs, then pulled free as the monster sprayed blood and collapsed. Watch out! Gao Feng's shout cut through the noise. The double-tailed had slipped past him and slammed into Wei Ti and Wei Qing, hurling the brothers through the air. Wei Tai hit a weak wall. It shattered with a crash. The double-tailed didn't slow. It spun and headed straight for Luo Feng, who had just fended off another tiger cat and had no time to dodge. Without hesitation, Luo Xia stamped the ground. The impact blurred him into an afterimage as he closed the distance to his brother in an instant. Ha! He cried, swinging his longsword. He unleashed the first level of the fourfold force technique. Power surged through the blade, and for a moment its force rose to intermediate war general strength. The air snapped as the sword came down. The strike gouged a deep trench in the pavement. The double-tailed miraculously avoided the fatal blow at the last second, but not without cost. A ragged wound opened across its back and blood dripped from the torn fur. "Are you okay, big brother?" Luo Xia panted. "I'm fine," Luo Feng replied, eyes fixed on the wounded beast. As expected of a beast general, it dodged at the last moment. "Xiaoxia, be careful, it's coming." Clearly holding a grudge for the wound, the double-tailed roared and lunged for Luo Xia. Its claws raked the ground as it closed with lightning speed. In an instant it was before him, jaws wide with a sick, foul stench. If it sank its teeth in, Luo Xia's life would be over.